right. No wait screen. I do apologize. Do really apologize, people. Yeah, I mowed the lawn. Can we get a cam to see the lawn? Nah, not really. But I did mow the lawn. I hate mowing the lawn. Absolutely hate mowing the lawn. I don't. It's not even like it's hard. Like I don't mind being outside. I don't mind pushing around the mower. Although, granted, this is not a great mower. You know, I'm renting this house, and the mower that the landlords gave us is pretty whack. And we're kind of on a hill, so I do have to mow uphill and then downhill and uphill and downhill and whatever. It's not great, but I have this. There's just like a mental block in like truly enjoying lawn mowing, because when I was growing up, you know, single mom household, right? We made sure to do everything as equals. Like all the chores were split equally. It was me, my sister, my mom, right? So all the laundry, right? All the cooking, all the cleaning, everything was split equally. We all did the same shit except for lawn mowing. That was the one job where they would kick back, you know, watch TV, you know, split a watermelon, like whatever's going on, and force me to mow the lawn. That was the one thing that tipped the scales. One thing that tipped the scales. So in my head, I hate lawn mowing, even though it's really not that bad. The act itself is not that bad, but just like, I mean, every 2 weeks growing up as a kid, it was, oh my God, like I'm getting punished. It's as if I was getting punished. Even though everything else we did in the house was fine and dandy. The one chore that was exclusively mine, that no one would help with, no one, was mowing the lawn and like weed whacking and all that. So anyway, like slightly salty about lawn mowing. Your chores in childhood were not split equal. I mean, my mom did a pretty good job, except for mowing the lawn. That's it. Why? What'd you have to do, Marcus? Hello, everyone in the chat, by the way. Hello. And then the reason I was even a bit more late, I mean, I had to take a shower. I was drenched in sweat. It was mowing the lawn at noon. Yeah, bad idea because the sun is blaring, you know, right down on you. But I had to. I couldn't have Sandra come home and have the lawn not mowed because I was gone like all last week, right, with nationals in Vegas. So I wanted to make sure, you know, now that I'm like back, you know, had a full day to recover. I don't that I'm not lazy, right? I'm not lazy. I promise you I'm not lazy. Okay, anyway, that's why I was late. Sorry about that, but we're gonna try to make this a pretty decently long stream. We'll go to the end of the workday, you know, 4 hours, hopefully, because there's a lot to talk about. A lot to catch up on. Let me, reset this as well. Vegas was a lot of fun. So you were there, Marcus? Heck yeah, dude. I hope you came and said hi to me. I feel like I met hundreds of people. It was such a friendly community. Oh my God. I've never like felt more welcomed, I guess. You know, like I'm not super comfy in Vegas. I don't gamble. I have only been to Vegas like maybe twice, and it was as a kid. So I didn't really know what I was doing. And I just ended up hanging out with so many people, getting a bunch of drinks, watching a lot of gambling happen. Honestly, for most people's benefit. I got pretty tempted. A lot of my friends were winning a lot of money gambling. But I didn't want to take the dive. You were the Oldham cosplayer. Oh, sick. Oh, yeah, dude. Congrats. What'd you make? Like top 4? Was it top 4, I think? That was a great one. I mean, the stalagmite was life-size. It was probably taller than me. You actually spent Friday in a 5th place. Okay. Still, congrats. And a portion of Saturday still sewing in your hotel room for the cosplay. Yeah, I went to go hang out with Carolina. Carolina, who cosplayed as Exude Confidence, Leave No Witnesses, and then most recently Lexi. I was hanging out in their hotel room, and it was just a mess of cosplay stuff. There's a literal sewing machine on the floor, and like glue basically stuck to the walls, like garments thrown everywhere. It was an absolute shit show. So I don't envy the people who decided to cosplay for this event. It's you all put so much work into it. It was incredible. Like, honestly, I think this lineup of cosplayers, there were like 22 cosplayers. 22! And every single one of them was, first of all, better than what I've ever pulled off. I mean, my like young Levia cosplay at this point looks like child's play. Back in the day, I thought it was pretty decent, but compared to how the cosplayers are ramping up the quality of stuff now, holy moly. Holy freaking moly. So well done. Well done. You all are absolutely terrific. I don't think I can do it again. The 5-foot stalagmite. Okay, so I am taller than the stalagmite. Not bad. But yeah, so let's talk about my nationals run, because it wasn't very great. Overall, my team did win nationals. My team did place 4 of the top 8. I mean, literally half of the top 8. Half of the top 8 was my team, which is insane. Like, what is that representation? We only had, I think, like 10 players or something playing in nationals. 10 players. That might be a little low. Maybe it was 12. And 4 of them made top 8 out of, 540 people, whatever it was. That was insane. Insane. So, obviously, huge shout out to Team Runaways. Runaways just nailed it this event. And then Charles, of course, won the entire thing, which is well-deserved. Charles, the behind-the-scenes going into this event, he was so committed to that Fatigue Briar deck. I don't know if I ever talked about it on stream, but if I did, I said that we had kind of like a meme deck that was going to show up at the tournament. I never said it was Fatigue Briar, to be fair, because that was a legitimate secret. But I actually had no faith in that Briar deck. 0. We'd been internally testing a bunch, and obviously Levia is pretty favored in that matchup. Especially if you know they're Fatigue Briar, they have no on-hits. The only thing they're doing is throwing like 7 damage at you now and again, and you outvalue that with recursion. So you kind of just like ignore them. You pretty much ignore everything they're doing, and you just recursion loop, because they either deal 7 damage or they deal 3 damage with Tunic. And that's it. It's not like they have Stalagmite to like defensively interrupt what you're trying to do. It's not like they have CNC pummels or something. So honestly, that matchup was pretty free. So I thought there would be other people in the event ready to kind of combat not even like a fatigue deck, but basically like a value grind deck. If Lexis were ready to beat defensive Bravos, right? If Briar, like a normal Briar, was ready to beat, once again, like a defensive Bravo or like, Turtle Dash, whatever's going on, then as soon as they found out that the Briar deck was this like value Briar, then it should be relatively easy to beat, is what I thought was going to happen. But it turns out when you play it like a god, and also just commit to insanely good math, then the deck's actually pretty good. Deck's not bad. I thought for sure it was a day 1 deck. I thought, guys, like you're locking your day 2 spots. You're going to obviously destroy draft. So it's like that day 2 CC portion that's probably going to pose some trouble for the team. But I was wrong. I was hella wrong. Charles did it. He won the whole thing. Granted, though, it's not like the 4 people on Runaways who made top 8 were all on Fatigue Briar. It was 2 Icelander, 1 Dromai, and Fatigue Briar as far as the team goes. So it's not like Fatigue Briar just swept and made it all the way to top 8. So maybe a bit of what I was talking about in terms of the deck's flaws did happen to some of the other players. But yeah, it was absolutely insane to see the team do so well. It's kind of funny because I feel like all I contributed to the team was to steer them away from Levia. That's basically all my job was. In the testing process, we did a lot of drafts together. I thought that was super valuable. I think all of us, except maybe 2 players on the team, had like 5-1 draft records. So I thought we did really well in terms of draft prep. And I did contribute to that. But as far as like the CC testing goes, I think all I did was convince people to not play Levia. And for that, I got to pat myself on the back, because that means they played other decks and then they did really well with those other decks. Anyway, it was really fun to be part of a competitive team going into national season. It was one of the coolest experiences behind the scenes I've ever had in a card game. Well, in any kind of game, because I didn't really play card games before this, but like even an X-Wing, right? Jamming games, playing with friends and all that. Nothing compares to when you have a group of people who are legitimately ready to win nationals, come together and just like try to make everyone better, right? Try to make the entire team ready and be capable of being the player who takes down the whole event. I thought it was really, really fun to be a part of. Shout out to Team Runaways. I'm so happy that they tapped me to be part of the team. And yeah. So anyway, great weekend. And the best part, right, is like enjoying everyone's successes by proxy is just such overwhelming fun You know, because we're in Vegas. When you want to celebrate, you celebrate hard, right? So it wasn't just, hey, cool, like, you know, 4 of us made top 8. Congrats, everybody. It was 4 of us made top 8. Let's go have one of the best dinners of our lives. Charles won the whole event. Let's go have one of the nicest dinners, like, on this earth. You know, like, because we were in Vegas. Oh, God, it was just so fun. So shout out again to Saint Hung, the sponsor behind Runaways. Officially, we are Fabled Runaways. He was really the person who was able to kind of like give us those opportunities to celebrate with like the amazing food and company and drinks and all that. That was all him. So huge shout out there. And Sam's in the chat. Look at that. Sam, dude, look how good your hair is. What you mean? Sam, my hair? Look at your hair, brother. Look at your hair. Sam shared pictures with us. You would not believe the look that this man used to have. Like young Johnny Depp or something. It was incredible. Actually, no, sorry, not to bash on you, Sam. You still look amazing. But I was blown away. We literally have like an A-list actor in our midst here. Maybe not now, but it's coming soon, Sam. Don't you worry. And we all got a taste of that this weekend with his incredible casting. So shout out to Sam. Shout out to Punkage, Flake, Red Zone, Brian Gottlieb, of course. I haven't listened back to most of the stream. Obviously, I was there. But from what I did jump in and listen, like when I woke up late or something, it just sounded like everyone was having a blast. And to see Sam and Punkage make it to the big stage is, of course, I'm such a proud papa. Such a proud papa. They did it. All the way back from Calling Indy, when that event was falling apart right from under me. And I was panicking to pull it off the ground. And Sam and Punkage were my heroes. This was a really, really well-deserved big break for them. So really shout out there. Anyway, yeah, so my run in particular, I'm trying to pull up I do that like live graphic thing. I'm trying to find where I have that. My voice is still kind of hoarse. 1 second. Where do I have... Yes, okay. This is doable. All right, sorry, 1 second. Let me copy and paste this. That's not Battle Hardened Chicago. Sorry, we gotta do things live. Let me pull down Nationals, Flesh and Blood. I need a graphic real quick. National Championship. Sure, good enough. We'll copy this. Drop this here. Levia at Nats. Okay. 1 second. Sorry, still fixing this. Should be ready to go. Alright, there we go. Good enough. There were a lot more rounds than this, actually. So, we'll fix this as we go. Definitely a long way up from Somalia pirates and unplugging cables. What's up, Punkage? Good to see you back here again. I've seen so much praise for you guys on Twitter. It's absolutely deserved and incredible. Really, I think the best part of this weekend was just everyone else's successes. My weekend, whatever, man. My weekend didn't have the God run that I was hoping for, but Charles did, my team did, Sam did, Punkage did. It was, just fantastic. The energy this weekend was incredible. I miss it deeply, and I feel like there's just a hole in my heart coming home, because something about being around like your flesh and blood family, not just friends, but your flesh and blood family is just becoming like the best part of my life. To just be around flesh and blood people, hang out, talk, not even just about the game, but just catching up on everyone's personal lives, doing like spontaneous drafts, just meeting new people and putting them into the fold. It's just incredible. And the Westgate was such a perfect venue for that. The Westgate in Vegas just felt like a home away from home. It had everything you could ever want. All the restaurants were right there. If you wanted to get a little wild, there was gambling, of course. Everyone was just kind of like staying right above you. So No one had to like dip out early. Oh, I've got to like Uber back to my hotel. Sorry, see ya. No, everyone could stay out as late as they wanted. So every night was just full of hanging out with incredible people. I'd so deeply miss it. But it's good because Worlds is on the horizon, right? Worlds is coming, and Worlds is going to be that times 10. It's hard to imagine because US Nationals is already incredible, but Worlds is going to be, come on, Worlds is going to be fantastic. It's Europe, for one. So it doesn't matter where people are staying. Public transport's going to be sick. Barcelona's a walking city anyway. The food, at least for me, is going to be more exciting than just like, you know, high-end restaurants. I love just like street food type stuff, which you don't really get in Vegas. So yeah, Worlds for me is, it's going to be part 2 of this just like amazing saga of events. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. So hopefully I will see so many of you there. Will I be playing Levia? Who knows? Because like we're going to talk about, Levia did not treat me so nice this weekend. Save one evening for us in Barcelona. You'll take us to an awesome place. Absolutely, Sammy. You got it. I'm going to Spain for over a week. I'm staying from Monday to Tuesday. I absolutely love Europe. I might take like a tiny trip to go visit my family in Mallorca. So I booked like some extra time just in case. I don't know if that'll really happen, but at minimum, just spending like a week in Barcelona with friends is going to be fantastic. I don't have like rooming stuff situated for that yet, but I at least have it booked. I'm going to be there for like over a week. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Miss America going on at the same time was hilarious. Oh, that's so true. Yeah, so actually, was it Miss America or Mrs. America? There were a couple other, summits, conventions, whatever, going on at the Westgate. One of them was definitely Mrs. America. I don't know if it was also Miss America, but Mrs. America, where it's a, like, married women, moms, things like that, competing for the Mrs. America title. And they were dressed up in like the nicest clothes you've ever seen, with their banners on, walking around in their little posses all around the Westgate. Then you had all the Flesh and Blood players. It was quite the contrast. There was also some kind of like amateur boxing thing going on, literally right outside of the US Nats venue. They set it up on like the second day, but there was a cage match, like or boxing rink, whatever you call it. I don't know. That was set up right outside of the Nats venue. And I don't know if everyone saw it, like, actually in action, but if you left the venue late on, like, I think it was Saturday, they were having a full-on cage match. Like, right there. It was so sick. There's so much going on. So much going on. You just went to the announcement page of Worlds to read up on detail. In the first paragraph, they drop a Bright Lights Easter egg. Oh, really? Wait. World Championship. Let's see. Is it this one? In the first paragraph, they drop a Bright Lights Easter egg. Oh, are you just referencing this? This is honestly one of the cutest things that James White has ever done. He's a sly dog to begin with. But the fact that he said, a city with bright lights, when he was on stage in Pro Tour Baltimore, was fantastic. I can't believe that. Everyone thought it meant like Paris or something. Because Paris is known as like the city of lights or something. So this was honestly so sly. I love that. If this is what you're talking about, yeah, we've seen this at this point, but it's fantastic. Well done, James White. Well played. Well played. Yeah, really cute. Really cute. Okay. Anyway, let's catch up on the Levia run itself, shall we? Because this was a shit show. Absolute shit show. But you know what? In the end, at least it was fun? Question mark? Actually, I don't even know if it was that fun. Not gonna lie. The draft rounds were super fun. But basically, just to keep it super short, because honestly, there were not that many learning moments for myself at this event. It's kind of sad. Let me pull up my notes on this side just so I can not miss a beat. Basically, then, just to recap the Nats run itself, I went in with... Oh, actually, I guess I'd show off the list. This is true. I went in with a list that was, I think, clearly not as good as the list that I'd put over 250 games in. This list, if you remember on the last stream, I talked through kind of the pitfalls of what was happening with this list that I had grinded an obscene amount of games on, which, by the way, I left this at 250 at a 70% win rate. Once this list went public, you all have added 48 games and tanked the win rate. What the hell? I knew this was going to happen, people. What the hell? But basically, I was really happy with this list other than the Lexi matchup. And I think I scared myself off of a really good Levia build, honestly. This list was very consistent. I absolutely loved how it was playing. It had game plans into every matchup that could be executed pretty cleanly, other than Lexi. The games with Lexi were so short that it felt like you didn't really get to make many decisions, and you just had to hope that cards lined up your way, or the game was just over. The games were just too fast against Lexi. And I didn't really enjoy that. I wanted a way to try to extend the game a tiny bit and actually see more of the deck, see more of my power hands, see more Dread Screamers, see more Endless Maws, see Blood Rush, right? Like, those are all the good cards, because if you're only playing like a 4 or 5 turn game and your hands are just like, you know, whack assortments of some cards that are decent, but not the actual like cards and cost curves you're looking for, then like, why are you playing the game? You're just playing a bad deck. So you needed to find a way to make the game a little bit longer into Lexi, so that you could actually play your good curves out, find more time to play Blood Rush, yada yada. I think I scared myself off of what should have been the deck for the weekend, though. Like I said, over 250 test games, I won the internal Runaways tournament with this event. So, hey, Runaways was 4 out of the top 8, and I won our internal tournament with this list. So I don't know why I swapped off. I should have been this. But I got so scared off of the Lexi matchup, especially against really good players, that I fell back to kind of like a more like small hand value deck that could rely on scab skins a bit more to cheat out value and have better game into Lexi. I think legitimately this list was way stronger in Lexi than any Levia list I played, more consistently at least. Because the idea was, I did post this on the League of Levia Discord, but basically this list cuts the Graveling Growls and then just adds full counts of Ghostly Visit. Ghostly Visit is really there to make up for that same cost curve that Graveling Growl enables, but lets you block an extra 3, right? Because now you don't need to keep 3 cards for Dread Screamer, Blue, Graveling. You just keep 2 cards, Dread Screamer, Blue, still throw a Ghostly Visit. So you're, in theory, returning a 2-card 10, having blocked 9 value, so you're getting like a 19 damage turn cycle out of the turn with a little bit more setup. It's actually the exact same as Red Dread Screamer if you're throwing, or sorry, Red Graveling Growl, if you're throwing 13 value, blocking 6, that's also 19 points of value, but the difference is you don't get to block as much against Alexi, right? And that's where the difference was really made in this list versus the other, is you needed to have more options open to blocking Lexi's detrimental on-hit arrows, or the game could just disappear really, really quickly because their deck is basically all gas. The only way they punt is like drawing blue arrows. That's the only way it happens. It's not like they won't draw arrows. They don't have that problem. Their deck is like 50 freaking arrows. So anyway, swapped over to this list, and really that was it. That's the whole point. Smaller hands against Lexi for like same value, actually more value if you were returning like a Dread and Yellow Graveling. That would only be 18 points versus 19. But also having Ghostly Visit in to just hit scabs whenever you want, whenever you have the 1 resource floating rather, and play a little bit more into variance, but obviously hoping that the variance goes your way and you cheat out 4 value, because at the end of the day, Levia is still a bit gated by Go Again. She has decent access to it in Artivore, Blood Rush Bellows, Dread Screamer, obviously, but you do still lack ways to use a singular action point for full value. Like, the only way you really do that is Endless Maw, right? Like, Endless Maw says you have 1 action point and you basically get to play like a Guardian. You are doing, with your singular action point, you are dropping 9 damage. That's insane. That's great. That's awesome. But other than Endless Maw, and like your other Go-Agains, when you have a singular action point, it kind of looks terrible. You know, like, I'm going to use my action point on a Writhing Beastalk. Okay, that was a 2-card 6. That was trash. That's no good at all. You know, you're supposed to be playing an above-rate deck, and yet the reality is we just, like, don't have more Endless Maws, right? We don't have more Dread Screamers. So by adding the Ghostly Visit and the Scab Skins, you're hoping to kind of pull through whenever you're not maximizing what you could normally do with like that singular blue and that singular action point. You're basically saying, okay, that one floating resource could be 4 damage on this turn, and just try to get lucky. Try to get lucky, honestly. Play a bit into variance, but the reality is Levia is just not built, like card quality wise, in a way to support doing everything you want off of a singular action point. And this list was really mostly inspired by the list I got second place at SEG-Con Syracuse with. It was, for me, the most overperforming Levia list I've ever played. I thought that Levia list, it was trade-in Levia, to be fair. It was trade-in. So we're not running trade-in now. That was just an experiment. But it was the same deal with like a triple ghostly visit and just trying to hit scabs and cheat out value, because what else can you do when not every hand is an endless maw, right? So that was it. That was it. We played this list in testing. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. Actually, hold up. These losses were not me. These losses were not me. You see these losses? I can't delete them because they were not me. I posted this on Discord, and sure enough, the community is not winning. So I don't know why you don't just copy this list to yourself so you don't ruin my stats, people. So you don't ruin my stats. But anyway, I had 22 games put into this in the week leading into Nationals. So like just Monday to Wednesday, basically. I tried to pivot and put a lot of work into this list, and was 22-0. 22-0. So I thought, okay, it can't be trash. It can't be trash. Some of these games were internal. A lot of it was just like random Talishar games, though. But it was super functional. I use different accounts, though, so I don't think this button will work. But here, I can show you this. Here, there you go. You believe me now? Anyway, it doesn't super matter. This was just Talishar testing, but I only had 3 days to try to pivot into playing this version of the deck, and just wanted to make sure it was like actually functional, and I wasn't just punting by playing this version over the other version, because going off of a deck where you have 250 games played and would consider it honestly pretty refined, to swapping over to a probably like 10 card different build with also a different game plan to execute, definitely felt risky. But with 3 days of playing with a 100% win rate, I thought, you know what, I can't actually be punting. It can't actually be objectively worse than the other deck. It's probably fine. We'll just take it. At the end of the day, I didn't have too much faith in Levia anyway, just across the board. It still is a deck that inherently has its own problems with consistency and variance, obviously. So at the end of the day, what everyone on the team was basically telling me is like, look, you can tinker, you can swap, you can do everything you want, but at the end of the day, if you're going to have a good tournament run, you got to get a little lucky. And that's not even just true for Levia. It's true for anyone who has a great tournament run. You got to get a little lucky. Like, for example, Charles Dunn, who won the entire event, he played against 2 dash, and both those dashes called it wrong and played boost into him. And so those are like free wins. They can't win. If those dashes go items, then it's a instant loss. Charles can't win. So that's kind of the ethos of even a competitive team, is like, you got to just understand that at the end of the day, you can do everything perfectly, but for the event itself, you're going to need a little luck to get there. A little luck to get there. So I bought in, like, screw it. I'm in. I'm going to make my own variants, and I'm going to make it happen. We're going to play this deck. We're going to roll scabs a little bit more than I ever feel comfortable with, and hope we get there. And in reality, it sucked ass. It was garbage. This deck absolutely punished me left and right for swapping off of my other list. It felt horrible. So that's what I get. That's what I get. There is no like actual rhyme or reason. The deck itself, the draw sequences were some of the worst I've ever seen. The scab skins, I literally rolled 1 into a 1 and instant lost a very winnable game. The deck just like did not work at all. And I guess at the end of the day, it just wasn't my run. It just wasn't my run. I put the reps in. I definitely had game plans into everything. But the reality is, I played greedy during like one game, and then every other loss was just the deck refusing to do pretty much anything. Pretty much anything. So, oh well. I still had a lot of fun on the draft portions. I still, overall, I'm glad I was on Levia for Nationals, because if there was a way where the deck was going to work out and take me to the top, of course, I would rather it be on Levia than just getting lucky on like the Fatigue Briar list. For me personally, I don't think I would ever touch that deck. But yeah, so not great, not great. Scab skins, that's why today's video is straight up called Stinky Feet. Good God, leaning into variants just screwed me this weekend. It was the game plan, so, you know, it is myself to blame. I just went in legitimately needing to just have a little bit of luck on my side and had basically zero. So that was it. Oh well. Would I play this kind of list again? Probably not, because as is now reinforced by every tournament run I do, when I try to just lean a little bit into luck, I don't get lucky. I just do not get lucky. That, like me personally, I'm doomed. I'm cursed. And I actually talked to Brian Gottlieb about this. Brian Gottlieb, LSS's one of their game devs, right? Who was also a caster at Nationals. I was talking to him about Levia, and he actually brought up a great point where he said one of the things that Levia, especially now, can do for you is reward you if you try at enough events. The deck is legitimately baseline like strong enough that if you just play in a lot of events, it's not like the deck is inherently too weak to win. The deck is fine, but you still need a larger sample size of events to show up and just have your run. Just have your run. Because at the end of the day, you are going to roll dice sometimes. Sometimes, right? So you need a larger sample size for you to have like your great run. A lot of average runs won't cut it. You do still need a great run. And so he told me straight up, with the amount of events that I'm missing out on because I'm doing coverage for so many events now, Levia actually becomes a worse hero to play because of that. She is by design tied to variance. Like by design. And because I cannot play in tons of events, I literally play like an armory every 2 to 3 weeks. I barely play in person. Most of the battle hardens, actually like every battle harden, I'm doing coverage for. The calling as well, I don't know, there really hasn't been one recently that I've been able to play in. I mean, I was streaming indie, right? So my opportunities to play Levia and just like throw myself out of a lot of events is just not possible. Not possible. So not to say like I really want to heed Brian's advice, but he said, look, and this is a great reality call, by the way. Brian is a genius person, and he's damn right. He's like, look, you're on one of the best teams in the world, which is damn true. I mean, Runaways just won Nationals. They were half a top 8. He's like, look, you're on one of the best teams in the world, right? Why throw away that experience and that opportunity to be more consistent? You know, learn from everyone who's trying to, you know, play more, like develop these decks like Fatigue Briar, you know, perfect their Icelander play. Why ignore them? Why ignore them when I am insanely lucky? I'm actually a very lucky person, not on the table with Scab Skins, but an insanely lucky person on the outside of it, to be on Team Runaways, to have the opportunities I have. I am very lucky. I'm very lucky. So to kind of upset that luck and play Levia at like the random events that I actually do get to play in is not a great idea, at least to be able to get great use, great mileage out of the resources that I have at hand. And I did talk to the team about this actually at dinner as well. Fino sat me down and had a pretty long chat about how when I am building Levia decks and like talking with the team and like trying to fix things, I'm a very manic person because there just is no like consistent, there's no like reliability piece to Levia to just feel ever too good about the deck. You know, the deck can be perfect in one game and then an absolute shit show in another game. It's just the nature of the beast. And so he called me out. He's like, dude, you are way too manic when you're like fixing up Levia decks, like playing Levia decks. I think it's hurting you. I think it's hurting you. You know, play something more consistent, right? And what will that do for you? So all that to say, I do really love Levia, but heeding Brian's words, the team's words, Fino's words in particular as well, they do have a great point. I know it's like such a roller coaster of like, I love playing Levia. I really do. Like I actually love. It's one of the most fun experiences I have in my daily life is just like registering a Levia deck and just showing up. That's just super fun. It's a thrill. I love it. Putting the work into it. I love it. But the reality is that I'm not going to reap the rewards of the effort and time and resources around me if I play this deck at every event. So the team basically has banned me, and I think this is warranted. And Brian Gottlieb also basically said this. I'm telling you right now, they have banned me from playing Levia at Worlds. And I think that's a good idea. This is not my choice, mind you. I actually think they're right about this. I don't think I really want to play Levia at Worlds because, first of all, I am qualified, by the way. No, we're all over the place. We're all over the place. But when you have the access to incredible testing and mines and all that is on Team Runaways, we are really going to put in work. And one of us is really going to try to win the World Championship. That's the plan, right? It's definitely within Team Runaways' grasp. That's within their grasp. And if I play Levia, I'm actually not part of that plan. If I play Levia, then I'm actively like not one of the members who can legitimately like step up and probably win Worlds. So I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. An entire testing season going into Worlds with some of the best players in the world, being weaned off of Levia, and playing just a more consistent, lower variance deck, and let's just see where that goes. This is just for Worlds, mind you. Just for Worlds. Just for Worlds. Let's see where that goes. Because I tried, people. I really did try. I played Levia at Nationals, and variance was just the absolute death of me. Absolute death of me. And it's tough, because you go back and you try to look at like your learning moments, and what could I have done differently? You know, learning from your losses, which is one of the best parts of Flesh and Blood, by the way, is you can normally go back and learn from your losses and become a better player for it. It's incredible. It's so monumental to being a good fab player, is to go back, not blame a loss on variance when it actually wasn't, but actually go back and pick apart where you lost and learn from that and don't make that mistake in the future. The problem is, I am actually still losing games to straight variance. Like, actually straight variance. And I don't say that as like some uninformed person. I call out my Levia misplays all the time. Legit. I'll tell you right now, on stream I played like an animal. That was absolutely me throwing at Nats. But there still were games where I am straight losing to zero agency decisions. That like I just can't do anything different. I can't do anything different. And I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that for Worlds. The team won't let me do that for Worlds. And that's that. And that's that. So we are going to close this chapter on Levia for me. But that's okay, because there are other people who really believe. Mo Bogsley. Mo Bogsley is a fantastic player. And he did really, really well with Levia at the calling. So actually, if you want to... let's see, Mo Bogsley. If you want to follow another really competitive person who's on the good end of Levia variance and still believes, Mark Johnson, Mo Bogsley, he got freaking 11th place at the calling with Levia. And, I mean, he's just a fantastic player, really competitive player as well. He had his run. You know, bless his heart. He did freaking awesome. But I just don't see that being me. I've tried too many times. I've had my decent runs. I've gotten second place at SCG Syracuse. I've won a couple ProQuest RTNs. I have made top cuts every once in a while. But the win has eluded me, and I just don't play enough to overcome the variance of Levia and feel like I can get that win reliably with this hero. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. But it just is what it is. Anyway, this is all a roller coaster in and of itself, though. I'll probably be back on Levia for Worlds because that's just who I am. That's the reality. I'm going to put in like 250 games on Dromai or whatever the hell. Feel like I'm doing it, and then last minute decide, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. I can't win the mirror, or like whatever it is, and just fall back on Levia. Because that's who I am. I am a manic person. I think Fino was absolutely right. My mania is like just unreal behind the scenes in trying to, you know, perfect Levia lists and talk about Levia lists with teammates and all that. So it'll probably come creeping back up and we'll be on it anyway. But no, not for Worlds. Not for Worlds. Okay, anyway. Let's talk about the actual run itself. You're not a player anymore, you're a producer. But that's what Brian is saying. That's what Brian really was recommending. Is like, look, you don't play as much. You don't play as much. So if you're trying to do well in the opportunities that you do have to play, then by design, Brute is not supposed to be that hero. Brute is supposed to be the higher variance hero. Brute needs a larger sample size to perform. And if I don't get to play in a lot of events, then I should play more consistent heroes. Because it's true. Looking back at the last year of Flesh and Blood, the only big event, like even Battle Hardened Up, that I've got to play in, I got to play in Chicago, and I got to play at Nationals. And that's it. Out of the entire year of events, I played in one Battle Hardened and then Nationals. And there are other people who are playing like, 2 major events a month. Those are the right kind of people. If that was my life, Levia is actually still perfect for that. It is. Oh yeah, Pro Tour as well. Oh, that's a good point. Thank you, Adora. I played Rhinar for that one though. I did play Rhinar. That was pre-Dusk Till Dawn, and Levia was actually unplayable. So I did break trend. Yeah, that was Levia. That was Rhinar. I forgot about that one. And I was the highest placing. Hey, there you go. Great point, Odora. Great point. I was the highest placing Rhinar at Pro Tour. I was 35th at Pro Tour. 35th. In theory, 2 games off of top 8. 2 games off of top 8 because I was playing a 0 variance Rhinar. I was playing like the defensive Rhinar that just plays for Pitch Stack and Blood Rush. That's it. I don't even think I rolled scabs more than like once in that entire event. Truly. So there you go. There you go. Not like Rhinar's supposed to be the more reliable hero, but from my tiny sample size of events this year, my best placement was, yes, 35th at Pro Tour because I played a 0 variance deck for the most part. Okay. So let's talk about my Levia run at Nats because I did have fun. I really did. I still really enjoy the hero. It's just that looking back at the losses, there isn't a lot to learn from, and that's where it really falls apart. But basically, just to run through this, round 1, I did play against a Phi, and I did beat that Phi 20-0. That game was honestly not even a win that I can look back and learn from, because I just drew I think I drew like a really early Blood Rush with like a swing big, and just like dealt 20 damage going second or whatever it was, and then on my present lethal turn, my opponent was stuck on 2 blocks, and they just died. So I won 20-0. I don't think I did anything particularly well. I just drew a Blood Rush, and I drew a 20 damage turn going second, and my opponent was just stuck on 2 blocks. So that was just it. I didn't really do anything. Then I played a Phi again, and this was actually on stream, and this was a true punt. This was like a skill loss. I got really greedy on blocking with Scowling Fleshbag on his second Art of War turn. Mind you, I think we only played like a 4-turn game, and his turn 2 was Art of War that got, I think, 8 points of value. So I don't know if this game was actually winnable per se, but I could have made one different choice that likely would have let me survive maybe one more turn, and if my opponent gets kind of greedy, then maybe I can win through a Reckless Swing. Kind of that was my only out in theory. But I just basically threw away the game and made it end a turn earlier than it should have. I blocked with a Scowling Fleshbag on his second Art of War turn without committing one extra card to actually deny the entire attack from hitting. My hope was that because Scowling Fleshbag was going to intimidate and he only had 2 cards in hand, my hope was that the third Chain Link couldn't present Go again, and I could just kind of because his Snapdragons were already gone, was the other point. His Snapdragons were already gone. My opponent hadn't played any Lava Burst or Salt Wound yet. So my hope was, if I can just kind of let the Mass Trigger hit, but it's going to be on a attack without Go again, then that's it. Cool. He gets his Mass Trigger through, but he can't force a big turn because his Snapdragons are gone, and that's just going to be it. I get to keep my hand, and the Blood Rush that I had sitting in Arsenal that I just had no ability to play for the last 2 turns because I was getting rolled with damage, could function, and I could try to win. Instead, the Scowling Fleshbag didn't intimidate the... Well, actually, I don't know what the other card was, so maybe it didn't work anyway. Maybe both cards had Go again, but instead it intimidated one card. The card that was remaining was a Ravenous Rabble. So what ended up happening is he was able to present the Mask of Momentum trigger on Ravenous Rabble that was revealing a double strike. And so if I let the Ravenous Rabble hit, then he was going to draw a double strike on an Art of War turn, and I was actually going to straight die. I was going to just lose if I let that hit. because all of a sudden, you know, like I can count the damage, right? Ravenous was 5 because it was Art of War. Double Strike was going to be another 5 damage because he hadn't triggered Shuko yet, and Art of War. So I was actually just dead if I let the Ravenous through because of the mask hit trigger. So I don't actually know how it would have worked if the Scowling hit a different card, but I know my intent was to just hope that there wasn't a go again attack on the mask threat because Snap's already down and I hadn't seen any of the Chain Enders come out yet. So that was a bit of a greedy block. If I committed 1 card to blocking the first attack where I also committed Scowling Fleshbag, then I can let Ravenous hit and it doesn't threaten a draw, but then my Blood Rush is basically completely random. I would be playing Blood Rush, but with no guarantee of turning off Blood Debt because I wouldn't be able to keep like the 2 attacks in hand to make sure that one of them could turn off Blood Debt. And so then it would just be, you know, like whatever the deck gives me, which to be fair was maybe enough. You know, like the deck is built to turn off Blood Debt, so there's a world where that's totally fine to play it that way. I'll draw an attack that turns off Blood Debt and be fine. But I really wanted to try to keep that 4-card hand and make sure that I could present 18 and turn off Blood Debt. But anyway, so that was kind of like a throw. That was a legitimate throw because I hoped and prayed a little bit too much on the Scowling Fleshbag. So this was like an actual learning loss. There you go. An actual loss you can learn from. But I don't actually think that playing it correctly won me the game because my opponent had full armor still, and I would have been at like, you know, 2 life or something, you know, pretty freaking low. So the only way I actually think I win is my opponent just goes to Reckless range, and then I can win, because there's no way that even with a good Blood Rush turn, my opponent can't take like 2 cards from my hand continuously, or maybe even 3. Yeah, it just kind of locks me out of the game, right? I also couldn't flip Consume that game because the only Blood that I had was a Carrion Husk and Howl from Beyond, so there was no value in flipping at all. Anyway, just a bad game. But this one was like a skill loss, honestly. I think I just misplayed it. Then the round 3 opponent was a Dromai, and this is a pretty good Dromai player. It's I think his name's like Zach Wallach. He plays out in California. But he did what I think is actually one of the worst things you can do into Levia, which is just run your entire deck. He ran like 70 cards or something. Like he ran the entire Dromai deck, right? The entire Dromai deck. So from testing with Pheno, I think that's like one of the worst things you can do, because now you're like guaranteed to have a bunch of 2 blocks in your deck. You have all the remembrances in your deck. And you're basically saying if the Levia like plays her game, then there's nothing the Dromai can do to actually block well, and you just kind of die. That's it. So I don't think the sideboard plan that he had going into the matchup was correct at all, but it didn't matter because I rolled a 1 into a 1 and instant lost. So that just kind of sucked because I felt like this was a pretty free win. I, you know, obviously have a game plan for this matchup, but the deck just didn't really function for a while. I took like 6 Blood Debt early because I just was drawing hands that couldn't turn off Blood Debt, which was super awkward. And then the first Blood Rush I played, I could only pay for Claw Attack. I drew double red, so I couldn't play for double Claw. And then sure enough, when my opponent developed, it was like a passing board or something, I go to roll Scabskins because, you know, that's why it's there. It's what Scabskins is for in that matchup, is to go ahead and clear like the Chrome Eyes, the Passing Mirages, the Mirages when you have Ghostly, whatever. I go to roll Scabs. I roll a 1, pop Gamblers into a 1, and then he immediately drops Tumultai on the return and blows up Scabs. So now I'm staring down a board that is just untouchable, basically, because I have no way to cheat in action points and ever recover. So it's just like, what can you do? Like, what can you do? Nothing. Like, actually nothing. The game was just 1000% decided by the Gamblers, or rather the Scabs, 1 into a 1. It was pretty miserable, but I actually wasn't that salty about it because it is what it is. I straight expected. Are we using Figma? Yeah, absolutely. I just did straight expect to roll a 1 into a 1, and Zach's a good guy, so honestly, whatever. I was surprised. Normally, I get like pretty tilted about a 1 into a 1. That game, it was pretty whatever. I like Zach, so you know, worthwhile that he got the win, but it still just sucked. It was just like so stupid that you do everything you can, right? You're even playing into an opponent who I don't think is sideboarding properly, and you don't even play greedy with Scabs. Like, that wasn't even a greedy Scabs roll. and then it just disappears. The game is just over. So that was it. Round 3 sucked, absolutely sucked. Then we played into a Katsu. You gotta love the flavor of rolling a 1 on scabs. It's like your brute is tripping and falling. Yep, sure, you know, I'm stubbing my toe or something, you know. Yeah. Luckily, that was the only 1-2-1 of the weekend, but it didn't super matter. Like, this loss was already, like, going in with 2 losses is already pretty rough. They were so early on as well. Like, this is a round 2 and round 3 loss. I would have to legitimately win out across the rest of the tournament to have any shot at top 8, because even going X3 with these as my second and third tiebreakers was going to be pretty much miserable. But I still had faith. So we kept going. I didn't feel too bad at this point. I played against a Katsu round 4, and this was a pretty decent win. This one was honestly probably like one of the more fair games I played all weekend, where I saw like one good blood rush, and then we kind of like jockeyed back and forth. You know, I had like good ghostly value here and there, and I've like flipped consumed and just like did everything you're supposed to, and just won that game. It was a good game. There you go. Like one good game. How would the game have gone if you just hit the passing mirage instead of rolling? I probably still would have lost that game, because next turn they dropped Tomultai and blew up scabs anyway. So it was just like a catapulting of things. Dromai is like one of the few matchups where you can actually survive a 1 into a 1. But what actually tipped it was a 1 into a 1 into Zach dropping Tomultai and blowing up scabs. So then it was like over. Then I have no way to fight back onto the board. And like I said, I'd already burned 1 blood rush for like really low value because I couldn't claw. So at that point, I'm already out of so many ways to like handle the board. Blood rush, you don't mind like sinking into Mirai guys, but 1 was already gone. I didn't even get to do that play because I couldn't pay for the second claw. I think I'd already burned like 2 Artivores at that point as well. So yeah, there just like wasn't enough go again in the deck realistically to fight back against the board. And like I said, I also took like a weird amount of blood debt early because I just couldn't turn off blood debt on like 3 hands in a row. So it was a bit of an awkward game anyway, but it was instantly over on the 1 into a 1 into Tomultai. Yeah. But how would the game have gone if you just hit the passing mirage instead of rolling? I mean, realistically, you never make that choice. I had Gambler's Gloves up. You never make the choice of, oh, I'll just like throw a Endless Maw into passing mirage. Would you actually do that, Vtultra? No, you wouldn't. You would absolutely not do that. You would not throw a Blood Debt attack into a passing mirage. Right? You have Scabskins, you have Gamblers up. You're supposed to be insulated from scenarios like that of like, you know, rolling a 1 and passing the turn. The one way that you don't is a 1 into a 1, right? 1 into a 1, which is exactly what happened. Anyway, then we moved on to the draft rounds, and I said I would never play Bolton in draft. Like, I really had no interest in playing Bolton. I'd never practiced drafting him at all in like the maybe 30 test drafts that I'd done. Change those dice, curse for sure. Absolutely. Well, here's the deal. We're just not gonna play Levia anymore. That's the problem, Madlink. I don't think it's the dice. I think it's just legitimately I am cursed. I'm cursed. I'm not one for superstition, but there is now enough evidence in every single one of my event runs that I am just doomed. I am cursed to the Scabskins. I am. But anyway, for the next 3 rounds, it was it was draft. And I didn't think I would play Bolton ever. But the packs were really, really awkward at this event. So apparently, I asked some of the judges how it works, and supposedly, don't misquote me on this, supposedly, LSS actually are the ones who package the cards and put them in the envelopes and seal it and stamp them and all that and send them to SUG. Supposedly, it is LSS who does this. It's not actually SCG, right? So SCG is then just given protocols on the floor of like what to do if they need to replace a pack, mark card, whatever. But the contents of the packs themselves are actually handled by LSS. Now, when LSS opens these packs and stamps them and reseals them, I think a couple wonky things are going on. At this point, it's like very well known that they don't like collect them into like any sort of box. The packs are handled by LSS. Oh, thank you. They don't actually put them back into the box that they were seeded from. They just get put into like a random pile of all these different packs, right? And for a lot of people who really care about like pack collation and all that, this is a big problem. And I actually did care about this for once because testing with Runaways, I put a lot of effort into drafting. I thought I was very solid on my draft knowledge for this set. But one of the problems that happens when you just kind of randomly throw all these packs together is the averages that come out of a singular box just don't exist. So in theory, when you're drafting out of a singular box, there are a certain amount of like poppers you can expect. For example, there's a certain amount of like equipment, you know, like normally never more than like 2 of one equipment piece, unless like 1 is foil. There's like some standards you can expect out of a singular box when you draft it. When it becomes absolutely random, when it's just packs mixed up all in one and you're just opening them randomly, then you don't get to make a lot of educated guesses. Weren't the packs also first edition instead of unlimited? At least they were at Nationals. Yes, they were first ed as well. Yes. So you don't get to make like any educated guesses about what you're more likely to see as the packs go on, right? Like for example, one of the things you can do is if you are like pretty convinced you are like 1 of 2 Levia in the first pack, but you haven't seen any Hooves of the Shadow Beast yet, then you can pretty reliably bet that in pack 2 and 3, when the hooves are opened, you will have free reign to pick those hooves. Like, small example, but generally, because of how a box functions, you can bet around things happening like that. At Nationals, though, it was a complete mess. I'm not sure why. I don't know much about like the difference of first ed distribution versus normal, but a pack that was passed to me, for example, had 2 foil Majestics in the pack. 2 foil Majestics in the pack, which is not possible, right? So I raise my hand and I say, Judge, this pack is not a legal pack. Like, something's wrong. And the judge said, nope, continue. And I was not alone in that. A lot of people had that happen. Honestly, that's not even the biggest deal. But for example, the first pod, the one that they were featuring the games of on stream, pod 1, whatever. Apparently there were 5 Gallantry Golds opened in that pod, and there was only 1 Bolton. So just like random things like that were happening all throughout, and it gets even harder to manage because, ideally, like, if these even were from 1 box, when someone would raise their hand and say something like, oh, my card's marked, whatever, they just toss the pack and give you a new pack. So I get it. Just like doing it all out of 1 box probably doesn't fix a lot of those problems, because if 1 pack is like full of dinged cards or something, then they do just have to give you a new pack anyway, and it would mess up the fact that everything was supposed to come out of 1 box. So I'm not quite sure like what... No, there wasn't the draft process on stream. It was the draft games on stream. LSS said that they were not allowed to show the draft process. But the casters themselves were watching the draft pod to be more informed of the games as they were then featured on stream. Anyway, so yeah, it was just super wonky. So I go into my first draft little run here, and I'm pretty convinced that I'm going to probably force Levia. I am open to playing anything except Bolton, but my win rate when I play Levia is significantly better than when I play anything else, which is actually not true, because I don't think I've ever gone worse than like 2-1 on Chain. So maybe Chain's also up there, but my Prism's pretty mid. Anyway, I was pretty sure I was going to play Levia. So sure enough, we start opening our packs. I'm going through, and it's very obvious Levia is open. I'm seeing the 2 Brute cards in every pack, still there, floating all the way through as they pass and pass and pass to me. No one is picking Levia. But the problem is, I am not seeing any 6s. For the majority of pack 1, for probably like a solid 9 picks of pack 1 out of 15, I was picking the best Levia card. The problem with that, though, is I only got 2 6s. I only got 2 6s out of like 9 picks with Levia wide open. So I'm panicking now. I'm absolutely panicking, because I don't know if I can trust the rest of the packs to actually have 6s, because in a box, you would assume that they will be there. Like there's some kind of like print collation. It'll be fine. We'll kind of get the averages out of the way, and I will see the 6s in pack 2 and 3. But because it's random, I thought there was actually a world where there could be just trash Levia cards. That's possible. That is actually just possible. So I started to hedge towards the end of pack 1 and pick more towards the other hero that was open, just in case Levia was doomed. And unfortunately for me, that hero was Bolton, because I didn't really want to play Bolton, but there were still decent Bolton picks coming around, so I start to just keep myself open to Bolton as well, because you don't really have to commit by pack 1. Monarch's flexible enough that you should be safe, as long as you got, like, you know, some picks between 2 heroes in pack 1 to pivot. The problem is Bolton and Levia don't really share cards, so that was a bit of a problem that I had going in. So I knew that if I was going to pick Bolton, I had to lock Bolton pretty hard, pretty early in pack 2, because I was going to run out of cards if I kept picking Levia and Bolton, Levia and Bolton. So I was going to make the decision by pick 2 of pack 2, if I was going to be Bolton or Levia. It really depended. Could I open up pack 2, get a bomb Levia card? Could I get a pack passed to me with a bomb Levia card? If so, then 100% Levia. If not, then I've got too many doubts. I've got absolutely too many doubts about this. I'm just going to play Bolton, even though I'd never played Bolton before, ever. So I think it was pack 2, pick 2. Or no, sorry, pack 2, pick 1. Sure enough, no good Levia card. Nothing. So I think I grabbed a Gallantry Gold, which was in the pack, and thought, okay, fine. Like, we're going to just pick into Bolton. I'm going to have a pretty medium Bolton deck. It's just going to be what it is. Pack 2, pick 2, I get past a Spill Blood. A Spill Blood. That's the one with the double foil Majestic, where I raise my hand and try to ask the judge about it. I get past a Spill Blood. I'm like, thank God. Thank God. I'm pretty decently into Bolton. I just got past a Spill Blood. I just picked a Gallantry Gold. We just need to fill out some other slots, and we'll be fine. So at that point on, I just started ignoring Levia and picking everything for Bolton, but I was still aware of the Levia cards going around. And I promise you, I think if I picked the best Levia card in the entirety of pack 1, 2, 3, there was only one Levia at the table, to be fair, but I still think that my deck would have been garbage. Garbage. I never saw a single Red Dread Screamer. Like I said, from pack 1, there were only 2 6s that I was able to grab, and one of them was like a yellow Graveling and like a red Boneyard. Not even great. It was just a weird set of packs for Levia. So in the end, I ended up going Bolton. I had 2 Spill Blood. 2 Spill Blood. I had a Via the Vanguard, and I had Gallantry Gold. And so even though I've never played Bolton before, I thought there's no way I lose this deck. This deck seems way too damn good. I need to just, you know, open with a charge card, and I'll be fine. I'll be fine. So, sure enough, how do I want to show this? Here. This is Bolton Draft. Here we go. This makes sense, right? This makes sense. So I ended up drafting Bolton, and my round 1, I play against, unfortunately, my freaking teammate on Chain. Do I have the Chain little thingy somewhere? Or maybe not. I think I've done these all too recently. Chain rotated before this. Alright, screw it. I don't have Chain's little picture. Alright. I play against a Chain in round 5. And unfortunately, this is my teammate, Shane. And I would consider him probably like one of the stronger drafters on Runaways. Very, very smart, analytical player. He is really big on drafting Chain. Shane on Chain, indeed. He is also just a good friend of mine, right? He's on the team. And I really didn't want us to team kill each other, because we're at that point, right? We're both X2. So whoever loses this game is basically out of top 8. Pretty tough for that reality. But we have to play it out, and I do end up winning. And I did not fatigue him. I went hard aggro. I pushed him down to, I think, 1 life by like turn 4. Or no, sorry. I pushed him down to 1 life by turn 3. And then sure enough, he died to Blood Debt. Because at that point, when you push a Chain down, if they can't play out every single Blood Debt card, which for the most part is pretty tough for them when they're trading down cards because they can only play out 2 things. You know, they play out 1, go again 1 more, then they just die to Blood Debt. So that's what happened against Shane. Very tight game. I also ended the game and I think won as well. And then he died to blood debt. So I felt so bad about that team kill, but for my sake, felt great because my goal overall at Nationals was not really to top 8. My goal overall was to cement my Worlds invite with limited elo because I was already top 10 in the US, I think 26th or 27th worldwide. So I needed to just not punt my draft rounds and I would get my Worlds invite on limited elo secured, right? Absolutely secured, because there isn't another opportunity before Worlds for like a boost in limited elo or a drop, right? Other than national season. So I figured as long as I could like nail my draft stuff, then what I wanted out of the weekend was still secured, my Worlds invite. So I was happy. I hate to admit it because I do love Shane, but I was pretty happy about taking him down because I was so paranoid about punting my limited elo. Then we played against another Bolton, and I cannot believe how good our Bolton decks were. I thought my Bolton deck was nuts. His Bolton deck was better. He had 2V the Vanguard and Lumina, as well as Gallantry Gold, right? So I think it was turn 3. He had a 21 damage Lumina turn. His turn 1 was just like, charge pass, whatever. His turn 2 was like a V the Vanguard, fill up soul. Then his turn 3 was, I believe it was a Bolt of Courage, Courageous Steel Hand, Give It Go Again, Lumina Ascension, Axe, 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 Axe for 21 damage. So I don't think in Limited there is literally anything you can do to stop that. It was just kind of insane. But I do think with a little bit of tighter play, I might have been able to make it like one turn longer or so. It was a very short game, to be fair, but I did make a kind of weird play spending a soul where I don't think I probably should have. It was like 2 points immediately, but it was like 5 points later with a spill blood. So I think I probably missed some value that game, but in the end it didn't matter because I lost to a 21 damage Lumina turn. You just can't stop it anyway. So at that point I'm terrified because not only am I X3, but I lost a freaking draft game, which I really, really, really didn't want to happen. I was absolutely terrified that now if I like lost my limited elo, then the weekend was actually over for me. If I lose all my draft games, then like, what the hell am I doing? Because worst case, right? Worst case is I go 1-2 and then that's it. I don't get another chance to juice my limited elo for Worlds. If I go 1-2 right now, then that's it. I can't play day 2. I don't qualify for day 2. And then what can I do for my Worlds invite? So I was terrified. I was like, my heart was thumping. I was so damn scared. But that's okay because we ended up playing against, I think it was Prism. I honestly don't remember this game at all. I was on such an adrenaline high that it was just like, please, for the love of God, I need to win. For the love of God, I need to win. And I did win. So I can't tell you much about this game. I truly don't remember it. I blacked out. But I won. I secured my spot in day 2. And like I said, my personal goal was to juice my limited elo. So I wanted to play day 2 no matter what. I was not going to drop for the calling. I just wanted to play another draft. That's it. Just let me play another draft, for the love of God. So that is what ended up happening. I got to play in day 2. And day 2... I'll move these over here. Day 2 was a bit on the inverse, right? Because it starts with draft. So I'm going to have to move some of these around. Give me 1 second here. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. All right, so then day 2 for me, I felt great because all I wanted was a draft where I could play Levia because I really find limited Levia insanely fun. Insanely fun. So that was my goal. That was my goal. I think out of the entire team, only like 1 or 2 people didn't make day 2. So the team felt in good spirits going into day 2. I knew I wasn't really live for top 8. But like I said, my goal was not top 8. My goal was my Worlds invite. So I went in absolutely just really ecstatic, eager, just so excited to get in on this draft game. No part of me wanted to drop for the calling at all. And sure enough, we ended up having great Levia games for this first draft. This was honestly kind of everything just going right. Like I said, I wanted to force Levia. I have a lot of fun on the Hero Unlimited. I think I play it really well. I think it's really intricate to play well. And sure enough, we ended up playing against the Levia Mirror. There are only 2 Levias at the table. My deck was a little odd because it was exactly 30 cards, and one of my cards was a red Memorial Ground. And I only had 3 Dread Screamers. 1 was red, 2 were blue. So my entire idea was park the Memorial Ground in Arsenal as soon as I saw it, slam the Dread Screamer turn, and then Memorial Ground and put the red Dread Screamer back on top. And just pretend that Memorial Ground was like another Dread Screamer. Kind of. I mean, not exactly right, because it's not like I actively have a red Dread Screamer in Arsenal, but it lets me put the red Dread Screamer back on top of the deck and like guarantee that I have 2 turns back to back. I'd never actually drafted a deck that way, and I actually don't remember why I only had 30 cards, because I felt like Levia was pretty open, because there were only 2 Levia. This pod was really weird. It was 2 Levia, 2 Chain, 4 Prism, 0 Bolton. And it actually didn't even feel like it was 0 Bolton. So I don't know if this was just an issue of, people just ending up taking Bolton cards because, they couldn't pick what they wanted to, or because of the pack collation, or what. But it didn't feel like it was 0 Boltons, which was really odd to actually find that out. But it was 2 Levia, 2 Chain, 4 Prism, which is more so what I thought would happen at the lower end of the pods, is people just force Prism because they think that's it. They think it's like the easiest deck to play, easiest to draft, yada yada. So I ended up drafting Levia. Like I said, my deck was a little weird, but we played the mirror match, and I really enjoyed my opponent. He honestly played it pretty well. We had a life discrepancy at one point that I had never really run into before, because I normally never get judge calls. I mean, if my opponent misses a tunic or misses a trigger, I just let him fix it. Who cares? Just fix it, man. I'm here to try to play my best, and if I would assume you're also there to play your best, and I'm not trying to angle shoot you. So if you miss something, go ahead, fix it. That's generally my plan going into these. So in this game, it felt a little weird because we did have a life discrepancy, and my notes had it more so in my favor. It was I think a missing 3 points of damage or something. And I was actually pretty convinced that I was right, but my opponent didn't put up much of a fight about it. My opponent was just okay, you're right. And I felt super uncomfortable about that. I was wait, hold on a second. Let's call a judge, because I do think I'm right, but I would rather a judge comes in and confirms this to whatever degree that they want to do, because I would feel terrible if I win this game because my notes were wrong or whatever. So I called the judge on myself and said hey, can you do a bit of an investigation on the life here? Something's a bit off. So we investigate the life, and it turns out that I was actually wrong. I was wrong. The problem had been that my 15 looked a lot like a 13. So when I had docked damage, I had done it as if it was 13, not 15 on a couple steps back. And the judge was able to confirm that because my opponent, where the life that they had been tracking and where the life was docked, blah, blah, blah. So I'm actually super thrilled that it worked out that way. I really did not want to win that game because I unintentionally cheated or something. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. Called the judge and myself, got it worked out. I was wrong, but then I still won the game. So honestly, best case, right? But like I said, my opponent didn't play it poorly. In fact, I actually could have lost to a pulping at the end of the game, but I was pretty sure he had no 6s left in deck, and then sure enough, when he flips for the pulping, he misses and dies to blood debt, and that's that. But it was actually a really interesting game. I did the thing where I'm more defensive, and I'm using Deadwood Rumbler to try to tip him into blood debt, but then he just had insane blood debt hands back to back, and all of a sudden I'd spent 4 turns full blocking, and I was about to mill. It was a very interesting game, but like I said, I did win. Then I played against a Prism, and I really enjoy the Levia Prism matchup because it's funny. As you play it early, the Prism player assumes that it's a bad matchup. The Prism player's oh my god, this is the bad matchup, right? But as you play out the game, Prism actually lands a lot of good turns on a Levia. You don't always have a popper you can really commit, right? Levia also has a bunch of weird non-blocks. You're also not full of 6s. Levia's I think my deck was 14 6s, right? So it's a weird dynamic where going in, the Prism player is like, oh my god, like I can't attack with Heralds or they're going to get popped. But then they start to count down like where your 6s are and they're like, oh my god, I can attack with Heralds because you can't pop them. So then you play like the real popper bait game. It's a very fun matchup to play, I think, when you're playing against good Prisms, and I would consider this guy pretty good. I did end up winning by fatigue. I played into Blood Debt once I was at a point where I knew my pitch stack would turn off Blood Debt every hand, and that was it. I mean, I actually could have gotten unlucky at a certain point. I think there were like 2 banishes where my graveyard had more than 3 misses, and if I miss, I just like straight die. So that was pretty terrifying, because other than like those 2 turns, I think I played this game like pretty perfectly. It was really fun to play. And so I did win that game. And then we played against another Prism in round 10. And this was one of my favorite draft games I've ever played. I love Levia in draft. She's just so fun. So freaking fun. The skill expression is unreal because there really is that pivot moment of playing into Blood Debt or not. And so many people do it wrong. But this was another very back and forth game. My opponent, because like I said, there were 4 Prisms in this pod, my opponent actually was pretty light on good Heralds, but they had so many 2-card hands. It was like Surging Militia, Stony Wootenhog, Pound for Pound, like Outmuscle. Like they just dropped so many good 2-card hands that I couldn't pop. So for a while, it felt like we were doing the exact same thing. He's presenting like 5 or 6. I'm blocking. I'm presenting like 6 or 7. And that's it. Like we're just doing that for a long while until I get myself to where my pitch stack guarantees to turn off Blood Debt every turn. And then I go hard. I go Dread Screamer into, I think a like Deadwood or something. So I go for like a 13 damage turn or whatever into Memorial Ground, put the Dread Screamer back on top, then go Dread Screamer into like Writhing Beast Hulk and like make sure some damage lands. Then into Soul Harvest, where I pitch double blue Dread Screamer back in, Soul Harvest for 12, into my last hand being blue Dread Screamer, another blue, and a yellow Graveling Growl. So I thought I played that game like, that was a really good game. I thought I played this one like super, super tight. It wasn't free because my opponent wasn't just like throwing tons of Heralds at me. It was a very back and forth game until it was the point of like, all right, everything is where I need it to be. We're hitting the gas and we win deterministically in like 4 turns. It was very fun to play. And that guaranteed me that I got what I wanted out of the weekend. I was already, pretty high limited elo, which I know, haha, people meme on elo, whatever. 1 second. I know people meme on elo. I don't care. It's my only ticket in to Worlds. So the National Champs isn't updated yet, but I went into the event at 27th in the world on elo. I mean, this is really just carried from the Pro Tour, honestly. And so all I wanted was to not tank this because, meme aside, it gives you a Worlds invite if you're top 50. So screw it. I got what I wanted out of the weekend. I went 5-1. So I don't imagine there's any way I drop. I probably climb because the multiplayer on National Champs is, I don't know where it says it. I guess XP is ×3. I don't know the elo multiplier, whatever. But anyway, so that was a good weekend. At this point, I'm like ready to retire. I don't even want to play CC anymore because all I wanted was to go 6-0 or 5-1 in draft. That's all I wanted. So damn it, we did it. I decide, you know what? Like, I'm still live in theory at X and 3 because my losses, even though they were bad, X and 3 is good enough still for some money if I go ahead and like make top 64, top 32. So obviously I'm not going to drop. We go ahead and play the CC rounds out. But this round of CC, this day of CC, was literal straight agony. Misery. It was one of the most unplayable series of games ever. I played against a friend on Dash. So props to him. Once again, I'm glad he won. And it wasn't just like some rando. But Zach, my boy, another Zach actually, he absolutely rolled me with Dash. It wasn't even close. I was significantly behind for like the entire game. And then the one turn where I found a Blood Rush, he harpooned it out of my hand. I did flip into Consumed, but it didn't matter. I like died, I think, on the next turn to a max V. So it was pretty nuts, pretty nuts. It was just like crazy high octane turn into crazy max V turn into Pulse Wave screwing Blood Rush, like just nothing I could do. So it was pretty tough, a pretty tough loss. But like I said, in the end, it was my friend Zach, so it was fine. So now I'm X4. Don't feel great. Levia did nothing for me in CC so far. I was hoping we could bounce back and do a little better, was obviously the intent. Then I had... Sorry, let me scroll up to my notes. Then I played against... Oh, that's right. Another friend of mine on Bravo. And this is probably the most embarrassing game of the weekend. Because I really feel that the Bravo matchup, all things equal, is pretty unlosable. You know? If the Bravo doesn't high roll you, and you just kind of have an average draw into a Bravo's average draw, you do win that game. You absolutely do win that game. Because you're ramping into kind of an untouchable recursion engine that you can protect with your armor, whereas Bravo doesn't, like, really lead into that. Bravo gets whittled down, right? The problem, though, is when Bravo does draw insanely hot, then you don't get to ramp up, and you just kind of die. And so this game sucked. I think I was like I was probably pretty salty this game, because this game actually just straight sucked. You know, high roll aside, like from the dash, you know, that's at the end of the day, like dash is supposed to do that. But when a Bravo legitimately just nonstop draws 3 blues red, pummel here, you know, rouse here, zealous here, tear asunder, you know, spinal, whatever, like, when it's actually unrelenting, then it really feels like you don't get to play the game. And it sucked because I had some things coming together. It was taking forever because I was getting slammed. But I had recursion pieces like in the graveyard. I just needed to find a window to start like getting the banishers through, start that loop, but it just never really happened. What eventually I thought my out was potentially my opponent ignored Blasmafet when I summoned out Blasmafet for like 2 turns. And I thought, oh, this is great. My opponent is going to, like, you know, the more they ignore Blasmafet, the more I can fight my way back into the game, and then they need to kill Blasmafet, and I'll have my turn. They will, at some point, they can't ignore the value. They're going to pivot on Blasmafet, and then I'll get to play the game, and we'll be fine. And we will be fine. But the reality was, I play a Blasmafet, my opponent says, okay, I don't care, tear asunder, Spinal Crush, my face. Next turn, dominate, crippling crush, my face. It's like, holy shit. Like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? You're supposed to miss at some point. But no, I think the weakest turn my opponent had was a like pummel hammer turn. And, or no, it was like a zealous hammer turn was the weakest turn my opponent had, a zealous hammer turn. And it was the turn where my husk was getting demanded because I'd already been beaten down so far. So even though it was like the weakest Bravo turn, it still sucked for me because my husk was demanded that turn on basically like a no-hit effect turn. So it was pretty miserable. This loss like straight sucked. I couldn't flip into redeemed. I only had like maybe 9 blood debt, so I couldn't even stabilize after that. It was just true unrelenting hot draws from Bravo, and oh well. Kind of oh well. So now I'm like out, you know, I'm X5. At this point, I would have to like bubble in to get any money out of top 64. So part of me thought, like I could drop or we'll just play to tank my elo even more, whatever. I decided to play it out. Why not? The next round I played into, where was it? Oh, yes. Next round, I played into a Channel Mount Heroic Briar, and this was actually like a pretty real game. Like, looking back at all the games I played, like I said, this round 4 was probably like the only real game I played on day 1. Round 13 was probably like the only real game I played, from CC at least. It was a loss, but it was a close loss, and it really came down to all things were pretty even. I just never saw Blood Rush, and they saw CMH. All things were pretty even. You know, we're having good value trades. You know, we're both like pretty, like, you know, baseline 4 value per card. We're just making smart blocks, yada yada. But then it came down to they got ahead because of a CMH turn, and I just never saw Blood Rush. So, I mean, that just happens. I don't think this game was anything to like really get too upset over. It's just like kind of what happens in a matchup like this. But it was like a real game. We actually got to play a real game. Thank God. Thank God. You know, it was back and forth. It was probably like a 9-turn game. We did it. Still a loss, though. Still a loss. And then the last game of the day was the most disgusting high roll I think I've ever drawn. It was going second, a perfect blood rush swing big, into drawing another blood rush. Or no, sorry. I went second and had some kind of decent opener. Maybe it was like just a swing big and I arsenaled blood rush. And then my next hand, I draw a perfect blood rush hand, play it. Don't need to play out the blood rush and arsenal. My next hand, I draw a perfect blood rush hand, play it. Don't need to play out the blood rush and arsenal. Into my next hand, perfect draw, play out the blood rush from arsenal. So my damage was just like 8, 18, 21, like 26 or whatever. My opponent just died. It was not a real game. I apologize for that one because I also hate it when Levia draws hands that way. It feels like, cool, the ceiling is there to have these insane high rolls, but it's not fun. I didn't do anything special. I just drew good cards in like an insanely short game. My opponent didn't get to do anything either. It was like the inverse of basically what round 11 and 12 felt. So, oh well. Out of the entire run, like I said, played only 2 real games of CC, and that would be like round 4 and round 13. The only real games. Everything else was just insanely one-sided, either due to my opponent being way too fast, or, really bad variance, like round 13. Round 2 was probably still a loss, but like I said, this was a true identifiable misplay. The only one, truly, identifiable misplay, round 2. And I guess technically in round 6, I think I could have gotten more value on a different use of soul, but once again, I think that was still a loss because I, got 21 damaged on like turn 3 by Lumina. So it was just kind of a weird run. I would love to go back and really feel like, oh man, let me play it again and I would do things so differently. And that's just not true. That's not true for literally any game but this one. So Levia just kind of let me down this weekend. Didn't love it. Didn't have a great run. Had fun overall, like I said. But that put me at what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 6. Oh god. 8 and 6 on the weekend, which is really, really, really bad. I wouldn't consider going like break even, passable. Like you can feel fine, break even, like go 7-7, and it just means you've got more to learn. But I truly don't think I've got much left to discover with Levia. Like really, really. And that's where it really falls apart. You look at these losses and you're like, nothing I could do different. Nothing I could do different. I could, in theory, just like draw things a little bit different and like maybe pull this one out. But like that's not like a skill difference. It's just we played a very fair game until one of us hit a power card and the other one didn't. That was it. Gamblers rolled a 1 and 2, a 1, and then a kind of a greedy hedge block that didn't pay off, which, running it back, I mean, I know what I know now, that the scowling play didn't work, but would I have made it actually different, not knowing that the scowling wouldn't work? I don't know. I actually don't know if, this play in particular I would have made different playing the entire day back. This was kind of my, like, I need to get a little lucky, because my opponent got 8 value on Art of War. So it was my, like, I need to get a little lucky and maybe I win, and I just didn't get lucky. So anyway, just like, that was it. Levia just didn't treat me right. Pretty sad, honestly. But, like I said, other people had success with Levia this weekend. Namely, Mark Johnson truly had, I think, in terms of, like, player size, highest finish run with Levia we've ever seen. When I got second at SCGCon, that was only like maybe 90 players or something. So I think to date, that one was the highest finish, but now we've got this one. This was insane. I mean, 11th place out of 600 people. 11th place out of 600 people is insane. So hats off. I don't think I can crown myself as highest finishing Levia anymore, because Mark did it. He freaking did it. And it's funny because in Chicago, he was playing Levia, and he was not super happy with the gameplay itself, but was really intrigued by the hero. And so we sat down and had a bit of a discussion on, like, what you need to be thinking about with deck building, like what cards to change, whatever. And he ended up on, I mean, realistically, this list is like almost exactly what we were talking about back in Chicago, other than he swapped off Reckless and went towards Endless Maw instead, which I don't actually agree with his take on Reckless being like the worst card in the deck. Reckless gives you outs when you don't really have another way to win. And that is like, why wouldn't you want a card in your deck that gives you an opportunity to say, all right, like if you disrespect me, if you're actually disrespecting everything I do because I'm a vanilla damage deck, then I can punish that. That's what Reckless does. That's what Reckless does. Because if all you're doing is vanilla damage, you know, there's not a single hit effect in your deck, and your opponent just ignores everything, because as long as they can stay alive, they're going to just do more damage than you, like, you know, dump their hand, whatever they want. Having Reckless Swing lets you say, well, hold up, I get to punish you now. Like, you were dumb. You were greedy. You get to punish them for being greedy. And there's also inevitability that you can force as well, in like a really late game state, when your opponent is like obviously very aware that you've pitched in a Reckless. There are real worlds where your opponent just doesn't attack you. Like they can't, or they die. I mean, this is like very fringe, but it does happen against like Bravo or like Fatigue Dory, where your opponent just stops attacking you because they will die to Reckless, so they just have to hope that you whiff in some capacity to Blood Debt. And what's cool about that is it's impossible for you to actually lose to that now with Redeemed, because you can just turn off Blood Debt, and then baseline, you would actually fatigue them. This actually did come up in testing quite a bit. Granted, a bit skewed because the Runaways really likes their like slower fatigue lists. But yeah, you can actually get to game states where your opponent is just like, I can't attack or I die. And you just say, okay, well, baseline, I have a weapon that's going to mill you out. And that's it. Boom. So if you don't run Reckless, you do lose your percentages to win a non-zero amount of games. Like, honestly, out of the entire tournament run, it might only be like one game. It might only be one game. But I would like having a card in my deck that's going to just give me a win in a tournament run over even goddamn Scabskins Gamblers, which is going to sack me a game in a tournament run. So I can totally see, I mean, if you hate the card, you can go down to 1 because of like how it clumps, sure. But he legit made the statement that Reckless Swing is like the worst card in the deck. And I think if you ask any Brute player, Reckless Swing is like one of the reasons to play Brute. Reckless Swing is one of the reasons that like Brute can cross the finish line, because it can be so hard to close as well, which is something he doesn't address in the video. He doesn't actually have any like easy 2-card dominate, like there's no Writhing Beastalk. So it's really just pulping and the convulsions. So without like a small hand to just win the game, it does get pretty tight sometimes, because that means you need to have kept a larger hand to go over your opponent's blocks and try to win the game, which doesn't always work in a late game. Like if you and your opponent are blocking down, then unless you can, you know, throw like an Endless Maw to buy 3 cards out of them when you only spent 2, then you get to keep, most likely, a 3-card hand to present, you know, your Dread Screamer Graveling and like get that breakpoint in and kill them. It can actually be tough. It can actually be tough to close the game if all things are equal, like come late. So without like writhing, it's a little sus. But hey, he got 11th. He got 11th. Where can you find the Nats stream? It should be on Twitch under Star City Games. Yeah, if you search Star City Games Twitch. Isn't it fantastic that it was on Twitch instead of YouTube? So easy to access. You can go to videos, recent broadcasts, and good luck, because there's no timestamps, but it is in theory here. It is in theory here. You can click through. It should be day 1, day 2, day 3, and that's it. I understand where he comes from. Honestly, more time Reckless is annoying than actually win with it. Yeah, but you need like a massive sample size with Reckless Swing to really appreciate that card, because you will cross the finish line in games you have no business winning off of Reckless. And you're not going to actively like lose a game because of Reckless Swing. I don't think that really happens. If you're afraid of like kind of the non-block feel in your blue slot, honestly, I'd rather cut Blue Deadwood. Blue Deadwood has felt like crap, like more than Reckless has for me. So that's where I'd make a cut. If you're really concerned about a blue non-block, even though Reckless isn't a non-block, it's not actually bad value. In theory, if you use it early, because you're not trying to keep a hand to turn off Blood Debt anyway, then you're blocking 4, dealing 2. It's 6 value on 2 cards. It's not trash. It's also graveyard fill. It's also graveyard fill. But yeah, so if you want to check this out, Mark did a really quick like deck recap of what he did to get 11th at the calling. I actually really appreciate how little changed, because this is like the day 1 build. This was the build basically that me, Pat, Jesse, Lucas, that like we were all playing in Chicago, and Cincy, where Pat got like top 8, Jesse got top 8, I bubbled out of top 8. It's basically that exact list with like 2 cards different. And hey, turns out you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to keep changing a bunch of shit to try to like build a perfect Levia deck. You can just sometimes keep grinding with what worked the first time and end up 11th at the calling out of 600 players. 600 players. You're not really a huge fan of Reckless, but it has won you so many games that you can't not use it. Yeah, okay, so here's an example. You want to see an example of Reckless winning me a game I had no business? Goliath Gauntlet. Wait, how do I find this? Let me just type Mansant. So, like, I played against Tarek Patel, right, with, Patel versus Horsepool. Where is this video? Well, it's not this one. Although, if you want to see me beat the Pro Tour champion, that does happen in this game. Oh, oops, not this game. I do beat the Pro Tour champion in this game, which is pretty sexy. There is a follow-up on this game, though, which I don't know where it is. I guess we'll just search it here. Mansant. How does it not exist? That's unreal. Where is this game? Tarek? Okay, apparently it's been erased from history. I have no idea. But I played against Tarek Patel in... Oh, no, here it is. Here it is. Patel versus Vynnset. Oh, okay, they put me as Vynnset. Oh, come on, Gus. Come on, Gus. So here's an example of someone who absolutely disrespects everything Levia is doing. Tarek is playing Fi. He literally just says, like, no blocks. He didn't block with a single card the entire game. A single card the entire game. And I couldn't tell you why, because he still has armor up. But he goes to 2. And then, like, all of a sudden, I actually can win this game. Because as soon as he's gone to 2, then if we can trade equally, and I just, like, don't die, and don't die to Blood Debt, then he's just going to die at some point. He will just die at some point. And it actually got easier to do this now, because you can flip to Consumed, and in theory, if you have to full block out against aggro, then you don't take Blood Debt, right? So there are games like this, where you only really can win off of Reckless Swing. Because when the life trade's really equal, you as Levia cannot keep the game-winning hand. The best, like, 2-card hand you can keep is an Endless Maw. You just, play your 2-card 9, and then, like I said, you have to hope that that buys you the room to kill with your next hand. Because you can't just, like, win the game innately on a 2-card hand unless it's Writhing Beast Hulk. So if you can keep up a trade pattern like this, where you just, like, don't die yet because you're blocking 2, swing 2, turn off Blood Debt, whatever, taking cards out of your opponent, then Reckless is your win con. And even though Levia is supposed to be oversetted across the board, it's not that easy to do the oversetted turns every turn. Every turn. It doesn't quite work. You hope. In a perfect world, you hope that that's how it works out. That's not the reality. So I would never cut Reckless, because if you cut Reckless, you're in positions like this and you just know that you lose. Like, there's no way you win. You just have no out anymore. So that's it. I would not cut it. Absolutely would not cut it. It was a pleasure to meet you this weekend. I hate to bother doing big events. They're exhausting. I appreciate you coming to say hi, handshake, whatever it was they gave me. I loved meeting everyone this weekend. Solar Activity, what was your name? What was your name? Maybe I remember you. I really appreciate anyone coming to say hi, though. Like, really. It's so much fun. Just be around the community. I was getting pretty burned out by, like, Sunday night, because my flight was at 5 a.m., so the choice was, like, stay up or go to bed early. And I decided to stay up, and I'm still dealing with the repercussions of that. My throat is, like, shot, because I just stayed up till 5 a.m., flew out the next morning. Anyway, don't cut Reckless. Don't cut Reckless. Telling you right now. Anyway, so good weekend. Got to see great people. Got to lock my worlds invite. Meme aside. Elo meme aside. And yes, to someone who asked in the chat, Jonathan, are you going to Worlds? I already have my ticket booked. I am flying into Barcelona Monday before, and I'm leaving on Tuesday, week after. So I'm going to be in Barcelona for a long time, hopefully. And I love Barcelona. The Sagrada Familia, this thing is unreasonably cool. Actually, I don't know the difference between jamón ibérico and jamón serrano. But either way, you can get these things in... you can get like these little cones of meat in Barcelona. Like a cone. Like a little holding cone of meat. And it's the most delicious thing in the world. Forget ice cream. Forget like, you know, any kind of street food. All I want to do is gnaw on some delicious cured meat. Oh my god. It's insane. It's insane. Okay, so what is the difference? Jamón serrano literally means mountain country ham. It's made from white pigs. 90% of its annual production. Most produced ham in Spain. Okay, so Iberico is made from black pigs. Oh, okay. So if it's a white pig, it's Serrano. If it's a black pig, it's Iberico. Interesting. I couldn't tell you the taste difference, but I'm going to find out. Funny story. After coming back from a summer where I was working with my aunt in Mallorca. Mallorca is a island off of Spain. Here, let's pull it up. So the Mallorca Islands, right? You've probably all heard of Ibiza. Oh god, I hate doing the thutha, but it is Ibiza. There is another island, the largest one in the Mallorca Islands. And my aunt, actually look at that, I still have little things tagged on it. My aunt works in what is the name of this place? I can't see it. Manacor. Okay. She works in Manacor at a like schizophrenia like rehab facility. So I spent a summer working with her over here. She lives in Palma, but then works over here. So we would take day trips out to go work at the facility. And it was really, really cool because, you know, it was a lot of just like talking with people, learning their background. It's not even all like Spaniards. It was like a lot of Germans as well, just kind of like end up there. But it was a really, really great summer. And then when I came back to the States, I brought with me an entire leg of ham, like a giant leg of ham. And it was my freshman year in college. And my entire mini fridge was dedicated to this leg of ham. And it lasted probably like the first semester. I would just like go in with a knife, like hack off a little piece. And that would be my snack for the day. It lasted... Actually, I don't know. It was a whole leg of ham and it only lasted like 2 months. 3 months? Yeah, 3 months. Maybe that's fast, actually. Maybe it's slow. I felt like I was going through that sucker really fast. It was so delicious. So delicious. But I have not been back to Mallorca since, unfortunately. Oh, no, that's not true. That's not true. I went back one more time after my study abroad year in Budapest. I went and stayed with him for like 2 days in Palma again. Anyway, I absolutely love Spain. Absolutely freaking love it. Barcelona is beautiful. It's also so easy access to Mallorca, so I think I might go fly in and just visit them. They're a really, really fun family. But yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm going to be flying out of Rochester to New York City to Spain for like a week and a day. Cannot wait. Do you have anything to declare? Loudly speaking to the entire customs. I have a leg of ham. I don't remember how I got away with that. It was with my it was with my mom. So, you know, she handled it. I couldn't tell you how I got away with it. Maybe it's allowed, but maybe it wasn't. Either way, I'll never forget how good that ham was. Okay, so that was the recap of the weekend. There's more to do in terms of other news. Battle-hardened Columbus is this weekend. I have made the executive decision as co-founder of Savage Feats, or maybe CEO, I don't know what my real title is, to not stream SCG Columbus. I think there are too many streams going on this weekend to really want to compete with fab viewership. Like, I want everyone who is pulling out all the big guns, like trying to take on the beast that is coverage this weekend, to have their moment. I would not like to personally compete with that. So for any national streams this weekend, even though there is SCG Columbus on top of it, I'm not going to stream it. I'm instead going to record it and then do a post-production series similar to, if you remember, what was the other one? Richmond, I think? Richmond, though, wasn't on purpose. Richmond was because the internet died. Columbus is on purpose. And the good news about recording it and then doing a post-production series is that I can actually play as well. So I am going to play at SCGCon Columbus, and it will not be on Levia, as like a little baby test of what it's like to not take Levia to a major event. I have commissioned Fino Black, for some in-depth coaching on Dromai. So tomorrow, the entire stream, all 4 hours or whatever, is going to be Fino teaching me the ins and outs of Dromai. Fino, who just made top 8 at US Nats. So he's going to... Is anyone going to be live streaming Columbus? I'm telling you, I'm recording it. I'm recording it. You're going to get the games. They're just going to come out the week later. There's no point in streaming it this weekend when there's like another 5 streamed nationals. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So instead, I'm going to be recording it and then putting it out on YouTube over the next week. And it'll still have casters. It'll still be really well produced. It just won't be streamed live. And Jonathan, I don't think a single other person has ever stepped up to want to do these SG cons, because they are a monster amount of work for actually... I mean, it's not like a paid gig, you know? I just go and do it. So, hey, you know what? If someone else actually steps in and says they want to stream SG Columbus, actually, you know what? Sure, go ahead, do it. Go ahead, do it. I won't record it. I won't be in the way. If someone else like legitimately wants to come in and stream SCGCon Columbus and deal with them and do all the work and all the logistics that are required to do it, I will happily sit one out. But that is not why I'm like actively sitting out of Columbus. Like I said, UK Nationals is this weekend. Nationals. I wonder if it comes up as like a map or like a calendar or whatever. Yes, this weekend is the 1st of September. So Austria, for example, Austria, Croatia, Estonia. Oh, I love Estonia. Germany, Ireland, Japan, Malaysia, Romania, Slovakia, Singapore, Switzerland, Thailand, United Kingdom. All right. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That is 13 nationals going on this weekend. And I know for a fact at least 2 of them will be streamed. I know UK Nats will be streamed. And then I think it's either Malaysia or Singapore that does like their Facebook stream. So that's at least 2. But I would think probably Germany. I think Germany probably also is streamed. I'm not sure. It'd be sick if Japan is streamed. I have no idea about that, but that would be awesome. Ireland might be streamed. I know some good people out there. Some of the other smaller countries, no idea, but like for sure the UK is going to be like a big one. So with that, right? Like that's 13. That's 13 nationals this weekend. Probably 5 of them or so are going to be on the airwaves, hitting the YouTubes. So I just don't think there's a point in drawing any of the attention away from that. This is just a battle hardened. There's a lot of them. So, like I said, I'm going to record it over next week. If you remember how Richmond worked out, which I thought Richmond was great. Here, let's refresh ourselves on this. So, like Richmond, right? We released over the next week the different rounds. They were fully produced with... What the hell? I'm not a member of my own channel. They were fully produced with all the hand cams overhead. yada yada. Same deal with like the casting and all that. It was all done legit. So we're just going to do this again, although I promise you it'll be even better than last time because that's kind of my MO. If I did it once, I'm not going to do it the same way again. I want to look back at the previous one and learn from it and make it better for the next. So yeah, the videos that get released next week are going to be on Savage Feats. And they'll probably get released throughout the week, you know, like Monday, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. But yeah, we also don't have like any videos on the channel. So it's another experiment to just see like what's the reach on putting out video content versus like a live stream. Because the live stream did insanely well. Like Cincinnati, 30,000 views. Pretty insane for just a battle hardened, you know? So I am interested in just like how many views are picked up on a video series instead. So it's just an experiment. We'll see. But like I said, the other perk is I'll get to play. And I asked the team, most people are taking a break this week, but I asked the team, like, who wants to teach me a new deck in time for Columbus? And Fino stepped up. Fino is going to teach me the ins and outs of Dromai. And I'm going to play Dromai just as a for fun experiment, at least at the Battle Hardened. For the PTI event, I'll likely play Levia, because if I'm going to a Fab event, like, you bet I want to play Levia. But this is just an experiment, and also it's a good opportunity for some collab content, because Fino did really well, obviously making top 8 at Nats with Dromai. He's putting out like some big primer doc on Patreon, so this will be a way to get some more attention thrown his way. So tomorrow is going to be all Dromai, all kinds of goodies with Fino. But the PTI event is a CC event as well, so Classic Instructed for the Battle Hardened, Classic Instructed for the PTI event. Boom. Are you playing Fino's list as well or trying out the Empress build? So we actually made a couple... Fino himself made like one card change to his list, and so I'm his guinea pig. He wants to know how it performs with a one card change. Oh, big deal. So I'm going to play his updated list. I have experience with Empress, but the best performing list out of the weekend was indeed Big Dragon, like Fino's Big Dragon. And he's going to be coaching me on it tomorrow, so I'll just do whatever he tells me, honestly. Learning Dromai right now is smart. That's also true. You know what's pretty good when... you know what deck is pretty good into Dash as it stands? Huh? Yeah, Dromai. Yeah, you know what we're getting in Bright Lights? Only mechs. So, what does that tell you? It's pretty cool. Dromai, stock's going up. But yeah. Let's keep the stream going with some games, perhaps. How about that? Oh, this is the Fino list. We'll get to it tomorrow. I'm tired. Mara got a spoiler for Bright Lights? Wait, already? How does that work? Are you serious? Wait, is that actually... Where did she say this? Should I check my email? Vynnset. Here we go. Should I check my email? Hold on, I'll do it off screen. 1 second. That'd be hype. Although I doubt they would ever give me something early. I'm like the highest potential for leaks over here. I'll say anything on stream. Let me check this. Nah, I got nothing. It's okay. Honestly, I don't even mind if I sit out for a spoiler season or so. There's so many content creators, and I don't even know if like I make content anymore. I have no idea. You know, I stream. Like, sure, I stream, but do I like produce videos? Not really. I think my time is better spent streaming than producing a video. And producing a video was more worthwhile when like I had a day job, so it was, if I had free time at like 2 a.m., then I was going to use that time to work on fab stuff. And the only way that would translate really, not a stream, but to make a video. But now, I mean, hey, I'm free during the day. Might as well hang out. Okay, let's do it. How did this all die? Oh my goodness gracious. Talishar, don't die on me. Oh, here we go. We're against Lexi. This is good. This is good. We do want to show off this matchup. Oh, and they disconnected. Oh, come on, man. Come on, I'm just a little old Levia. Oh, actually, that is set to private, public, classic, request, undo, blah, blah, blah. All right, we got to juice up that now blemished win rate. That 100% win rate has already dipped. But we can bring it back up. What's up, Robin? Robin, a local from Rochester, finished incredibly well at US Nats. What was it, 18th? 18th? Something like that? All right, what I found against Katsu is, even though I want to roll Scab, screw it. Grasp is more guaranteed value. All right, we're doing it. We're in. 18th, yeah. Incredible. Let's see if you can finally learn how to beat Katsu. Well, it's an aggro matchup, so at the end of the day, you do need to find at least one Blood Rush Bellow. One Blood Rush Bellow, so that you are playing a real game and don't just fall behind on damage, but generally it's not that bad a matchup. Especially not with Grasp and Scowling. All right, pretty decent. We're returning with a swing big. We're going to be arsenaling a Sink Below, and we can even hold Beast Within just in case we high roll with a Blood Rush. Dope. That's actually like pretty greedy though. I think generally pitching the Beast Within and holding a blue is like more realistically better. But we have a Sink Below to fix the hand a little bit as well. So I'm going to play it a little greedier. Okay, the greed did not pay off. Because now we do wish we had the guaranteed blue. Do wish I had the guaranteed blue for the Endless Maw. This is 2 yellow Surgings out of the Katsu. They blocked with Breaking and Breeze, so they likely have the hand they want. Full 5-card push. I don't mind just using the Sink Below early, though, because I do want to know if I find a blue on this hand or not. So we'll just use the Sink. Okay. This is likely just a blockout turn and Arsenal the Endless Maw then. In the last round, if you beat Josh and Hamilton or Dan lost, you would have been 8th. Okay, so you had to beat someone in the last round and contingent on others tiebreakers. Yep. A lot of maybes, but it is very cool to see it was possible. Very cool. All right, well, we're going to full black out this turn anyway, so don't super mind that I don't have the Endless Maw play, because generally that would have forced me into keeping a 2-card hand, which, that would have been fine in this kind of position, but it would have pushed me off to Arsenal, and the stability of kind of burning them through some threats here. 2 Surgings, 2 Whelmings into Endless. Next turn, don't hit it. If you didn't miscount lethal into Craig Krempels, you would have had a clear shot to 8th. You'll never forget that misplay. Oh, what happened? What happened? Okay, so the only target they had was a Whelming anyway. That's pretty funny. It's a yellow Whelming. So that's going to be a clean 3. We can just block it there. Alright, so they kept a full 5 card, so I guess they want to cycle something new into Arsenal. Probably a new starter then. Could have been a double Surging draw, since the Surging did come from Arsenal. Oh, actually, this was an Art of War, so that is just some random play. Some random card. Oh! The Blood Rush was actually pretty close to the Beast Within. Still too greedy to keep it, but... so actually, I don't mind now. The fact that we took the slow turn, put the Endless in Arsenal, that is kind of the buffer we wanted to make sure that this Blood Rush hand is functional. Block down with 1 card, play out the Blood Rush. If we draw a yellow and a blue, that's pretty dope. That's Claw, Claw, Endless. If we draw even a blue, that's Claw, Endless, Reset Arsenal. So obviously the play that we want to go for here. Boneyard would have been the best hedge for exactly a Blood Rush draw, but Endless is more flexible because it is actually also pretty good. It is also pretty good on Blood Rush. You just need to draw more resources, but it is fine. So we only want to block down with 1 card here. Obviously around denying Mask. This is the tutor that they already pulled out. So we can just do this. Blocking 3 on the 100 Winds, there's like a small chance where it's like Ancestral or Breaking Skills to really punish, because then it's double strike after. Yeah, not a strong enough turn to want to use Scowling, so I think this is fine. Just use the Scabs here. Another double strike. Oh lord. They really want to threaten Mask. What's the reasoning behind Arsenal Endless over Dread Screamer previous turn? This list is on no Graveling Growls, so the only way Dread is good is if you find Ghostly Visit, which we just haven't found yet. So that's asking a lot for Dread to be good there. Generally, Dread in the graveyard is actually quite strong for flipping Consumed. But if we put Dread in Arsenal there is no natural draw that actually feels good. Because drawing the Dread Screamer is not what you want to do. Or, sorry, drawing the Ghostly Visit is not what you want to do. You want to block with it, banish it, then your Dreads are good. Okay, well, it's 2 equipment pieces given up this turn. That's fine. Block with this because it's the better banish on Arsenal, or banish for Consumed, rather. No! Like, not the worst case draw, but pretty bad. This is why I don't enjoy running Sinks, but I did add Sinks in. Once again, it was for like the Lexi hedge. Make Lexi a tiny bit better. All right, we have Art of War Slithering. Dope. Block with 1 card, make the Art of War Slithering play. So this really can't be the turn that we flip into Consumed unless the turn is just Slithering, Arsenal, Art of War. Also not bad. The banish right now is 2 Dreads and a Deadwood. Could be fine. Could be fine. But obviously if we go the Art of War Slithering play, then Blood Debt is off, so it can't be the flip turn. So it kind of just depends how much damage they deal right now. How much damage? So if this hits, obviously they go get a Bonds. The Bonds then comes in for 4. Blocking 4 into the Breaking Scales is going to be rough because it would just be this and the Scabs. They go over it. So if I block now, it forces the Breaking Scales immediately, but then it's kind of the same deal, but it lets me instead block Husk on the Bonds. Ew. Don't really want to do that. Don't really want to do that. This could just be using the Scowling plus block on the Bonds. That could be fine. That could be fine. I don't hate that play instead. We'll still have Husk and Scabs to try to protect the flip then for the next turn rather than this one. But it's going to be tight. Sure. Who does have the stinkiest feet in Wraith? Riptide and Rhino are obvious picks, but Oldhams are probably real bad. That's a funny question. Well, honestly, maybe Reinar's aren't that bad because Reinar has open-toed shoes. So he's actually airing them out pretty well, right? That doesn't seem bad. They're aired out. But someone like Oldham, who is like trudging through snow nonstop, that's got to be awful. You know, the feet are just like completely wrapped in like sealskin boots or whatever they are. Not breathable in the slightest. That sounds pretty miserable. Alright, if this is any attack... Oh, it's a soul bead again. What's with ending your turns on soul beads, brother? Not the worst use of Carrion Husk, but definitely doesn't feel great considering they do get this Arsenal card here. I can probably let this hit. It's not the biggest deal. I just get really punished if that is anything free. I mean, hell, even if it's a Surging Strike, they might just like Heart and Cross Trap for it, just because it threatens then the consumed life threshold. I could also let it hit, not go for the Art of War play, just Slithering, Arsenal Art of War flip. That's probably okay from this position. The problem is, though, I would be so tempted to roll Scabs and want to get the Claw Slithering play in. 2-card 9 into the flip turn. Pretty juicy. That is pretty juicy. That is pretty juicy. For reliability's sake, is throwing 6 Arsenaling Art of War flipping. Is that good enough? I think we're going to let this hit. If this is some attack, I can just block with the Unworldly, throw Claw, Arsenal Slithering. Not as good. Not as good at all. Blue Flusterfist. Yep, so I think now we're just going to give this up. It'll just be Claw, Arsenal Slithering, which is decent because we have the Dread Screamer at least. The Dread Screamer means we keep a blue. That's a 12 damage turn. Okay. Let's do it. There's no way they can deal damage on the Claw Swing here. So, ideally, when they lead with the Surging Strike or whatever it is, Husk gets decent value. But they actually never dropped the red Surging, which is where, if you see that, you just drop Husk. There's not many attacks in Katsu where Husk really blocks 6. So it's if you see the... Oh, beautiful hand. If you see the red Surging, you just do it. You just do it. Or if it's like a 5 damage bonds or something because of Art of War or whatever it is. All that can be pretty important. Obviously, we use it on this turn, on whatever's the highest damage presented here. It's like red bonds. Pretty decent. Just use it here. This is not active, it's just 4 damage. So as long as we're not dead, I think we're pretty safe to just let all this through because we have a Blood Rush turn with a Dread and a Slithering. That's pretty damn good. But see, this is, like, you need Blood Rush or you can't play these games, which is so sad. Okay, so we don't want to let Mask threaten here. Oops. What are they doing? So this could be Kadachi Surging. If that's the case, we don't want to let the Mask draw. I should have one more opportunity to block this Kadachi. In a world where they don't Kadachi, I think that's better to do it that way. So we can wait. One more Kadachi showing. Okay. Oh! The hell? The hell is that? Well, that's pretty good. That is all of a sudden pretty good. Pretty good. In most universes, I would just let this go. But it's exactly lethal. It is exactly lethal, so we do have to block it. I can block with 1, just play out the Blood Rush, which they're at 18, so I think we pretty much have to play it that way. I have to try to make this a Blood Rush turn, or I'm not going to force interaction out of them and just lose. Because if all I do is like block down here, go for the Dread into Slithering, that's a 12 damage turn. They just ignore it. They just ignore it. But then again, it is Katsu. They could punt their draw. They're on a random 4 cards, you know? They are on a random 4-card draw here. They're down Hardened Crosstrap. I'm in. We'll do it this way instead. An experiment. An experiment. Oh boy. Alright, we've got issues. This is pretty bad. Oh Levia, oh Levia, how the games can disappear. How the games can disappear. Once you're consumed, you actually have room to try to do defensive Art of Wars, like Defend from Arsenal even, to survive. Because all you need to do is survive. But we can't block with the Blood Rush out of Arsenal. It can't really play it on this hand unless we try to hella dig with the Art of War. So this is looking pretty miserable. The best play we can realistically make is, yeah, blocking here, going for like the Deadwood Claw. It's about all we got. It's about all we got. Pretty tough. If I let this through, there should be one more red 100 wins. There's 1, 2, so there's one more. So if I let this hit, then they show 4 damage on the red 100 wins, which is pretty annoying. So I don't really want to just let this hit and give them 4 free damage. That Blood Rush is really not usable anyway. Okay, also plays, in theory, around Art of War, but they're going to Breaking Scales most likely, because it's the end of the game, so why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? They Ancestral. Okay. Don't even need to Breaking Scales. Incredible. Now we're looking at 5 damage. That's fantastic. That's lethal shown right there. Right there. We need to basically deny Mask, or it's definitely game over, because this is on an Art of War turn. Although for Mask to be denied, this would need to be another attack with Go again, realistically. Either way, though, the commitment would be, like, now. So if I let this hit, I die. If I block with 1, the next attack is an attack with Go again. Because of the Art of War and the Breaking Skills, there's no way 1 card really blocks it. So I do have to give these up. Sick! It was 5 damage anyway. Didn't even need Kodachis. Alright. Alright, what do you want to say? What do you want to say, Tarzan? Cool. So that was a Levia game. Punted the sequence. Well, it doesn't super matter. We drew a non-block. Doesn't matter. Yes, correct. Yeah, so in theory, the blue keep was better than the Beast Within. Went a little greedy because we had the sink below, but not drawing the Beast Within, or not drawing the blue naturally did make it look way worse. So probably for more reliability, always keep the blue over the Beast Within, even with the sink cycle. That would have let an Endless Maw be the return, but then it was the Blood Rush draw with no attack in Arsenal, and with what the Blood Rush drew, with no attack in Arsenal, that would have been basically just Hungering Slaughterbeast pass. 8 damage off 3. Well, in theory, 8 damage 2 cards. Arsenal the Sink Below. Not great, but actually not the worst. A new Sink Below in Arsenal would have helped. That's kind of a difference then. Kind of a difference. Just keep the blue because it's the curve the deck wants on specifically like Endless Maw. But if we were going to draw a turn that wanted a blue, it was literally just Endless Maw or Blood Rush. And with Blood Rush, the Beast Within is a bit better. Anyway, so it was literally just to protect around drawing the Endless Maw was the reason to want the blue there. Still, it's something that I should have done. Oh well. Oh, Levia. Oh, Levia. That's a loss, baby. Destroying the perfect record. I'm in. Let's go 0-5 today. The CNC was definitely worst case. You know, obviously if that's not CNC, the game is drastically different. Like literally if that's even the Surging Strike, then that gets to be a 26 damage Blood Rush turn. So it was also pretty good from the opponent. Pretty good from the opponent. So in the mirror match, you're really trying to go second and like pray you get playables. Because if you go first and just Arsenal, or sorry, if you go first in the mirror, you shouldn't attack anyway, even for your own graveyard fill, because it lets the opponent get ahead on tempo. So going first is not actually beneficial. If they go first, like I'm forcing them to go first anyway, and they do attack, then I'm better off for it, right? You're watching the stream while playing, so you'll leave, so you can play someone else. Oh, okay. Whatever you want. Whatever you want. The Levia mirror is like pretty brain dead, honestly. It's not the most fun matchup. Honestly, most matchups aren't that fun for Levia. They're all frustrating at some point. But yeah, when you're doing the exact same thing as the opponent, it really does come down to, you know, who gets a luckier Scowling hit, who sees their Blood Rushes. Neither one of us has Disruption, so it's just raw numbers bashing each other. Oh. Hi, cat. Hi, Goody. Hello, Goody. Here's my cat's tail right here. Cool. Vynnset. Vynnset's pretty cool matchup. They can definitely take away the game pretty quickly. It kind of depends what pummels they see into what turns you're trying to pull off. That's always a problem, realistically. Always a problem. I think into Vynnset I was doing something like this before. I don't remember. I don't have a thing set up here. I'm in. So they let us have first. No reason to attack and let them get a reduced to rune chant off. That really kicks them into high gear. So it is safer here to just Arsenal. Sure. Although I don't know if most CC lists run Reduced to Rune Chant right now. They definitely did at first. In the early days, it was everywhere. Then the Fire Nation attacked. Actually, a slight decision on this. Because the Art of War can pitch into the swing big, the choice is Endless Maw or Art of War and Arsenal. Into Vynnset, because they can interrupt your large hands with Pummel, the Endless Maw is more reliable than the Art of War. So I actually am going to play it that way. Endless Maw and Arsenal. Way safer 2-card hand. Am I planning on going to Worlds? 1000%. I'm going to Worlds. I have my Worlds invite on ELO, baby. I may suck ass at Levia, but I don't suck ass at draft. Hi, cat. Hi, cat. You want to be on stream? Oh, look at him. Look at this little boy. He's purring like crazy. All right. They wanted the Quicken. All right. We didn't draw blue. Dope. Didn't draw the blue. The good news is, though, this hand doesn't really need to swing to turn off Blood Debt, so realistically, best value on this hand is just block, return claw. They're already likely to have 2 rune chants going to the turn because of Rune Blood and the Banish, so I don't want them to have 3. 3 is the difference maker. So go ahead and give up hooves. They hit a ghostly or deathly whale. Okay, just a blue. Can't wait to see what going undefeated in draft at Nats does for your limited elo. Yeah, I mean, at this point, there are a lot of really juiced elo accounts from Pro Tour. So if you weren't already up there, I doubt it like really cracks you into the big leagues. But 6-0 is fantastic, so it hopefully did something, right? Hopefully did something. Like really, I mean, all the draft events, limited events that I've been a part of, I've done really well. Like the first calling I went to was a limited calling in Dallas, and I got top 16. That was my first event, first big event, and it was Monarch, or sorry, it was Tales of Aria, and I got top 16, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I played Briar all through, oh god, this is awful. I played Briar all through the Swiss rounds, and then I drafted Lexi twice. And my Lexi decks were awful. Awful. And I still made top 16. Okay, so since this is going bye-bye, we can just go ahead and defend from Arsenal. That one's unblockable anyway. This one we can block. This I can do here, and then we can dread Boneyard. Why not? Don't hate it. That worked out. Boy. But yeah, at Pro Tour, both Pro Tours, I went X1 in draft. At Nats, I went X1. Both Pro Tours with limited. I guess the first Pro Tour didn't have limited, I don't think. I don't think it did. I don't remember drafting back then. But yeah, in Lille I went X1, and at Baltimore I went X1, and then most recently, obviously just went X1. So all those together has been kind of the tipping point to get me up to top 27 or whatever. But I don't know. There just aren't enough events. Jesus. There aren't enough events to make elo like really matter. You know, like there's only a handful of events in a year that are going to do anything to your limited elo. Oh my god, Woody. You're so loving. You're so loving. So it's not even like a real metric, right? It's kind of just, how did you most recently do? That's where your elo is telling you right now, which is not what the real elo system is supposed to do. Decent banishes so far. Decent banishes. Decently... Oh, okay, never mind. I was going to say we're decently positioned this game. Nice mid-game, but then we drew this hand. Then we drew this hand. Fantastic. Well, you know, if this was a blue Endless Maw, there is a play. If this was a blue Endless Maw, we get a play. But honestly, I'd rather the blue Endless Maw be over like the Unworldly if you're really going to do it. Because this is like the most filler blue. It's good when you dip into the recursion, but in every other scenario, it's pretty bad. Oh, actually, I should have pitched into the arcane damage. Because I don't want any of these in Arsenal anyway. I guess I could get extra graveyard fill going. Which is awful. Wait, hold up. I would rather pitch into the arcane, actually. Because it is 2 arcane, right? Oh, wait, where'd it go? Sorry. Started this turn. Yeah, there we go. It was 2 rune chance. Oh, this is actually wrong as well. It should be the Unworldly block. Pitch in the Convulsions. Oh well. Oh well. I've got a cat who is going crazy on me, and for whatever reason, my allergies just like started to kill me. Hi, Goody. You're so cute, my boy. Look at this cat. Look at him. So beautiful. He's not even my favorite cat. I like my other cat better. I have two. I have Mori and I have Guri. And Guri is more so like Sandra's cat. He's obsessed with Sandra. Like literally sleeps on her head. Oh! Oh yes. Love these hands, Levia. You keep doing it. You really are doing it for me, Levia. If you sink Howl into a blue, then maybe there's a chance. Oh, you know what? I won't even get that shot because we are going to have our hand banished by widespread annihilation. Fantastic, fantastic. I can't even play around it by pitching into Arcane and then like blocking with the full hand to avoid the banish, so I'll have to banish a Blood Debt card. Maybe it's not the worst, honestly. Maybe it's not the worst. I could use this as the flip turn. That could be possible. Use it as the flip turn. How does that look? I'm taking only 4 Blood Debt. This does have go again, though. It does have go again. If I let it hit, it's going to create another 3 rune chance, which really means the Deathly Wail comes through for 7. So if I let this through, it's 17. Then another 7 damage. I can't pitch into the rune chance, so I actually just can't really let that happen. I do have to block the widespread here. I can make it 6 Blood Debt. You know, block with Husk, banish the Howl from Beyond, return Slithering, arsenal either the Dread or the Sink. It's not awful. But in terms of taking damage, that still doesn't get me to 13. Rough position here. Rough position. I can cover up cleanly with the Scowling, try to sink into a blue, or even a yellow to turn off Blood Debt with the Dread Screamer. I think we'll just go for that. I can't really get to the point where I want to flip here. So we're going to try to sink the Slithering away. Okay, they're paying into it. We don't super mind. That wasn't for the value there. Okay, we found a blue. Beautiful. So we can banish the Howl, still turn off Blood Debt, go into the flip next turn. Not a big deal. You can have it. Oh, that could have missed. Graveyard's looking like ass. We have all those ghostlies. Can't find them. You're combing all the undercoat fur from your long-haired black cat right now. She's in heaven. Oh, what a cutie. I love black cats. Growing up, I had a greyhound, a rescued greyhound, and a black cat. They were quite the pair. It was like the most generic cat, and then like a really weird-looking dog. Alright, that's it. Alright, this hand, also ass. Oh my god. We can't do it. It ain't Levia's day. So in theory, they can creepers in some action point goober or just pummel me here. If it's a pummel, then I'm looking at taking 5 damage basically down to 15. Don't hate that. In theory, then my turn is Deadwood and flip. That's fine. I'm hoping, obviously, to try to sink into a playable card this turn, so sink away the barraging makes the most sense. This is fine. So now I actually don't want to sink, though. Or actually, no, that's not true. What would mess me up if I sink? If I draw into, like, a Beast Within, that does screw me. But not necessarily, because then I just attack with the Beast Within instead of the Deadwood Rumbler. So... yeah, I guess it is safe to sink one card. Honestly, not really sure why, but we're just going to do it. Sink 1 card. Okay, slithering. We take 5. Obviously, next turn is our flip turn here. Well, so now we have a safer 2-card 6 because there is a world where Deadwood could discard the Beast Within, and that would really screw me. So we'll just do this 2-card 6 instead. Oh, sorry, we've got Howl, baby. I'm in. 2-card 9. Still flip? Yeah, I forgot about that. This Howl doesn't get any more value for the rest of the game. I don't care. 2-card 9 into flip. Good enough. Good enough. You're making a whole nother cat. Oh. Hi, Goody. He's still purring. You cutie pie. You absolute cutie pie. At least he's on my lap and not behind the monitor like he likes to normally do. Alright, this flip, honestly pretty juicy. Double Dread, Writhing, Boneyard, Endless. This is a good flip. It's a good flip, people. Alright, slightly more awkward now. This was not a great draw. But that's okay, that's okay. So right now, these both need 3 rune chants. So if I let this hit, that's 3 into the next turn, no problem. So I'm just going to pitch in. We're going to do a Blood Rush off of 3. We drew a yellow and a red, which is good enough because we have the Boneyard. So this is still 18 damage off 3. Pretty good. Pretty good. One, two, three, four, 5. So leading with the Dreads is going to be a little scary depending on how the Boneyard hits here. It could do me some good. It definitely could. Oh, yes. Beautiful banish. Look at that. 3-card 18, Goody. It was a 3-card 18. Did you see that? Did you see that? He doesn't care. He's just mashing his face against the armrest there. Doing the weird cat thing. Endless, incredibly strong. Dread, incredibly strong. Writhing, incredibly strong if they ever just let me deal free damage. I don't see how we really lose, especially since we didn't put... Oops. We didn't put a lot of value into Arsenal in the late game to like be our enabler, so Widespread isn't really doing anything. And I honestly doubt we really slow down to play for Arsenal again. It would just be contingent off of like a random draw with Art of War or Blood Rush. Still have Hooves as well. Hooves. Okay. They're also in that tough position where they need to keep banishing a card, but we're presenting lethal now pretty consistently. And on top of that, they don't go into their turn with an easy way to play out either one of these. So, should be looking pretty good here. This is kind of where Vynnset falls apart. Yep, exactly. Alright, now we just kind of do our big turn. It should be easy enough here to go... Oh, actually, I think I can hold priority on this. Depending on how I banish, there's a world where I could use Hooves for Doomsday. I doubt it, but there is a world. Let's see it, baby. Let's see it. Oh! Oh! Disgusting! We did it! I'm in. Oh, I love that interaction. That's so good. That's so good. Doomsday, you beautiful, beautiful beast, you. I love that ruling. The moment we found out about that in the League of Levia, where you can respond to the flip face down, I immediately messaged my boys over at Talishar. I was like, you need to implement this. You don't understand. You don't understand. The amount of Plasmo plays you're going to get with that ruling increased like 20%. Promise. I mean, yeah, we just throw 18, they die. In theory, you should throw Plasma first. Doesn't matter. They do just die. It's the problem with Vynnset. One of the other things I was talking to Brian Gottlieb about was where he thought Vynnset was. Because the devs are like pretty... Good game. The devs are pretty intent on saying that Prism... They're pretty intent on saying that like Prism has something unique and is a broken deck, but just no one's done it yet. The devs like keep saying that. Thank you for the game on the stream. So yeah, the devs are pretty intent on saying that Vynnset, or not Vynnset, Prism has something to her. There's something like unknown to the greater Flesh and Blood player base still with Prism. Something yet to be discovered. They keep saying it. They keep saying it. So I talked to Brian this weekend about Vynnset, where I was like, so where do you think the community has landed on Vynnset? Right? Because I love Vynnset. If there was another deck that I would pivot to and like not really worry about putting Levia down, it would be Vynnset. Vynnset's super freaking fun. Another kind of like awkward shadow hero, not obviously stupid like Chain was. I think I would love to play Vynnset at a premiere event. So I was talking to Brian about it, and he said that in testing, they're very aware. Vynnset is still a couple cards away, right? She's not in their camp of like, oh, she's broken, the community just like doesn't understand what they're doing with her. She's not in that camp. She's very much in the hero's good. There's a potential that she's broken, but it's not with the current card pool. So like mechanically, they are convinced that eventually she will be nutso, which I also agree. I think most people are in that camp. But with the current card pool, it's just not quite there. I mean, when you look at a deck that's running like rainbow copies of envelopes and like Deathly Whales, it's just begging for more cards to come out. Right? Like more cards injected into like a Vynnset pool, and you can start to build a really, really scary deck. Because as of now, it's like, yeah, your envelope turns, your Deathly Whale turns, like they're all good, but the moment you're not playing like the red versions, you know, you wish you were doing something a little bit more powerful. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I would love to play Vynnset. And I was happy to hear that the devs just don't think we're dumb. Like, you guys just haven't figured out Vynnset. No. They're aware. She needs a little bit more love. A little bit more love. But eventually she'll be nuts. Devs also said Starvo was tier 2. Yeah, but that's a bit warped because they were playing Starvo in a different internal meta. They were playing Starvo with Briar at full power, right? Briar was still considered like the best deck in their internal meta because they hadn't banned anything. They hadn't like nerfed that deck. So because of that, Starvo was suffering because Starvo actually doesn't block super well. Starvo was stuck on like tons of 2 blocks, right? A couple non-blocks. So that's why they didn't have like a real read on like where he was metagame wise. But yeah, they are off a couple times now and again about like where decks lie power wise. You don't trust them about Prism? Oh, but Zoe, did you not hear the spicy tech? They said Blue Overload is how you beat Dromai. Did you not hear? That was actually insane. If you listen to the... Oh, is it even called Twitter anymore? Good God. X? So if you listened to the dev space... Where was it? Oh, one of these, right? They were talking about like the Nationals metagame with the devs, right? Hosted by Brian Gottlieb. And the devs talked about Blue Overload being a potential tech to clear Ashwings as Prism. Because someone brought up the point that like Rake the Embers is just kind of like an unbeatable card. Like, how do you beat Rake the Embers as Prism? And the devs were like, well, what do you mean? Run Blue Overload. And that is insane. That's actually like, oh my God, you're saying run a 3 of. That is only ever like a blue block 2, except in that matchup. Just to clear 1 Rake the Embers. You're running like a playset of cards to clear 1 Rake the Embers. It's crazy. It's actually insane. Insane take. Insane take. So, yeah, I was very surprised. Fino specifically was like, he was malding when they said that. He's like, what are you talking about? What planet are you living on? That Blue Overload makes that matchup playable. That's unreal. Unreal. Anyway. So, who knows? Devs are all over the place. But when it comes to Vynnset, their recommendation is to lie in wait, and I'm ready. I'm absolutely ready. Speaking of, there is a new interview with James White coming out tomorrow. Or maybe it's today even, from Instant Speed Podcast, and I'm super stoked. Okay, yep, opponent did the right thing. They're making me go first. Fantastic. Opponent is making me go first. Oh no. Honestly, this deck is not really built to want to see the mirror. I don't hate it though. We can do this. Oh, hell yeah. Alright, the good news is we didn't want to attack anyway, but this is uniquely bad. Alright, Deadwood, not a bad opener. If my opponent doesn't do much, just an opening Deadwood, throw back to that limited Monarch vibe. It's actually not bad. You think you should have gone first as Vynnset? Absolutely, Dot Your Eyes. Yeah, absolutely. Got the spoiler card email yet? No. Yeah, I can't believe Mara got an email already. I haven't seen everyone on Twitter talking about it, so it might be a situation where it's only a couple people first. Oh, we lost. They open Hell from Beyond. It's over. Oh! We hella lost. Okay, so in theory, if the Deadwood hits here and we banish their Howl, that could put them in a weird spot because now they're looking at 2 cards in banish, 0 in grave. So we're going to make that play. But if the Deadwood misses, this looks miserable. I believe, though. Oh! Okay, you know what? Fine. We found our own Ghostly. We're in. Yeah, Vynnset should always go first. I agree. Agree. Too strong to open with a Runeblood or something. Alright, you said Mara made a post about this. I'm looking at her Patreon right now. Let's see. What'd she say? Oh, actually, we'll just do this later. Ah, okay. Focus on the game. Focus on the game. Can't lose the mirror. Come on. Oh! I'm in! Do I do it? Hell yeah, I'd do it. Swing Big is the only thing Husk is worth using on anyway. Dope. I'm in. It's in her Patreon Discord. Oh, okay. I never joined that, actually. I just messaged Mara on the side too much. Alright, here we go. Here we go. +1. We're saying +1. Oh! What the heck? Wait, this is actually insane, because we can... Oh, well, if they Scowling, it gets worse. But in theory, I Slithering, and then I say go again. Alright, I'm in. Don't Scowling me. Don't Scowling me. Yep, we're going to say banish go again. We're in. Oh! Alright, so if I want to play around the Scowling, then I should overpitch into the Writhing to then Slithering. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Alright, we like it. We like it. Give it to him. Yeah. And we've got Howl. Alright. They got their Howl, I got my Howl and Ghostly. Tell you what. Tell you what. Oh, yeah. I even have the Dread Boneyard hand. Disgusting. Disgusting. So funny enough, I found in this matchup that most of the time, Scowling is best value on the Dread play. I mean, granted, not in this situation because this is an Arsenal, but in the mirror, if you block Scowling with 1 card in hand and 1 floating, it in theory blocks 8. I mean, it's delayed, right? Because they're going to play their Graveling at some point. But it's just like an on-demand way to just block 8 on that turn cycle. So generally, that's what I save Scowling for over Blood Rush, because there's a bit more variability if your opponent just like full keeps a 5-card Blood Rush. We're pretty safe into the Blood Rush here. If they intim either one of these, we can still make a play. I don't really want to Arsenal the Ghostly Visit. So like the really greedy line in me wants to block with the Ghostly, play Dread, and then if I hit the Ghostly, just play it anyway and not worry about the Scowling. If they don't Scowling, just Boneyard. I'm in. I'm in. In theory, it takes away a Claw Swing on a Blood Rush play, but that's just not always the truth, unfortunately. Okay, speaking of this hand playing around Scowling, I forgot we have the Howl. We could just 2-card 9 it, Arsenal the Dread Screamer, give ourselves more windows to banish the Ghostly. That's the more reliable play into the Scowling right now, so we're going to do this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 2-card 9, 2-card 10 incoming. Although there are 4 misses. It's okay. It's okay. There are worlds where the Scowling on a Blood Rush turn, if your opponent actually full keeps because, you know, they need to play around a Scowling, if they block into their Blood Rush turn, you would hope it's only because their turn otherwise couldn't Blood Rush. If they can keep the full hand in Blood Rush, they're just going to do it. And then it doesn't always take away the Claw Swing, because there's plenty of scenarios where you have an extra card anyway and get to reset Arsenal on a Blood Rush turn. But it's contextual. Like, it's more so like, what do you see first? I definitely use Scowling in both scenarios quite a bit. But my preference is to just not play this matchup more than anything. I don't want to beat Levia players. I don't want to get beat by Levia players. I like my cool turns, but I prefer them into non-Levias, you know? Alright, 3-card here. Cool. Alright, they got a yellow Dread incoming. Alright, so this is where Scowling could pay off, you know, but I don't mind just kicking him off Arsenal if that really is a 1 cost. Saving Scowling now, because what could get them back into the game is if they see a Blood Rush and I just don't this game. That's definitely a possibility. So I think I'm going to just block here and whatever the follow-up attack is. Arsenal the Sink below. Make sure the graveyard's got some more hits in it. Definitely hoping to banish the Ghostly. If I don't banish the Ghostly, it does fall apart a little. But I'll hit it, right? Yeah, see? I just hit it. It's no big deal. It's actually no sweat in situations like these. You just always hit it, right? You're always him. You're always him. There were 2 Ghostlies after all. There were 2. I love this card. Oh, so actually, shout out to Hemmel. Hemmel, who's in the chat right now. I didn't take a picture of it, which, honestly, biggest punt of the weekend. But Hemmel let me borrow the other 2 Extended Art Ghostly Visits that are out there in the wild. I have 1. He has the other 2. And he let me borrow them so I could use the entire playset of Extended Art Ghostly Visits at Nats. It was sick. Alright, see? Look, my opponent's doing it. We don't care. We have Ghostlies, baby. Shout out to Hemmel. That was sick. Unfortunately, it never really panned out. My run was trash. But it was cool to flex on him. Yes, you can undo. It was so sick. There was only one opponent who I played it, and they're like, wait, that's a real card? Like, you bet your ass it's a real card. Only one opponent. Oh! Alright, so I think I can... I sink into a blue, right? Like, every time? I sink into a blue. I sink into a blue, correct? Correct. I could do it twice. I've got chances here. Pretty smart of them. They did hit there. They're going to banish their own non-6 Dread Screamer. Pretty good, pretty good. This means guaranteed they go to 13, so they're going to use Husk no matter what I do next turn. So there's a world where if my turn is Blood Rush, even if it's just like Claw, they don't get full Husk value. They don't have Scowling anymore. Alright, so I can either sink the Sink or sink the Swing Big. I'm going to sink the Sink. Sink the Sink. That's fine. I'll take that, I think. Alright. Get a little lucky. Get a little lucky, or potentially not turn off Blood at this turn. You know, it kind of had the vibe of better lucky than good this game. I'm not going to lie. Could also just force it with the Art of War pitch here. But then we've got, like, no guaranteed attack. The Blood Rush might stall. I think what we really need to do is just play the Blood Rush anyway. Sad. Sadness. So this can just be claw, claw, flip. That's a lot of damage to take, though. I really don't think I want to do that. I most likely get to just flip next turn, so putting the Dread in Arsenal is a bit curious, because it doesn't lead into the kind of flip turn I want. That's okay. Oh, why couldn't you be a blue? Why couldn't I have discarded the Beast Within? Alright, let's reevaluate. If I just claw Arsenal Dread, then I'm... Oh wait, no, I'm only taking 6. I didn't check that. I'm only taking 6, so I can't flip anyway this turn. Alright, so we have to do this. Oh, don't even have one floating for Ghostly. Sag. It's okay, you know what? Maybe this is a redeemed angle. Could be. No, I'm good. Wait, what? No, opponent. I was memeing. I rolled Scabskins for no reason. I've got nothing I can do. No, opponent, not like this. Alright, we drew the Beast Within Blood Rush, though. Dope. Guaranteed. My opponent freaked out. Not like this, opponent. Not like this. So I guess it was always correct then to go ahead and roll Scabs there, because there was a non-zero chance my opponent might just try to Gamblers. And they did. They did. That is in fact how you roll dice. Yep. Okay, so this Dread was from hand, right? Because they blocked with 1 card, so this one's from hand. They haven't used Blasmo yet. So worst case for me is they have like a blue and they can go Howl into like Writhing. That's pretty bad. That's the worst case. If I Intimidate that away with Scowling, then they can still just drop like the Boneyard or Slithering on me. But it slows down the game. I'm about to have a Blood Rush turn, so I think it is worth it to do that now. It slows down the game. This card in Arsenal is not necessarily that important for how you want to play the redeemed or the consumed patterns. You want to just keep the blue in hand, more importantly. If this is like a 1 cost or a Dread, obviously that's hype. That's like their best case. Alright, so we're going to Scowling. And then there's a lot of implied value in actually playing the Barraging instead of blocking with it. Because they're only at 10, and... Well, they're not going to take Blood Debt necessarily if I mess up how their hand works. We'll think on this one. Let's see what the next attack is. Do I need to block with these Scabs, though? I'd be taking 4 down to 17. This is the next attack. If it's just 6, then I can block with... Well, no, I guess I'm not looking to turn into Consume this game, then, because I'd be turning off Blood Debt on the Beast Within. Okay, we're just going to do this. It's a Blood Debt card. Look, it went up. It went up. Alright, there it is. They play out the Boneyard. Their graveyard's running pretty light, but not for like another 2 turns to really go dry, so it's not that important to track right now. If I want to protect Consumed at all, then I need to block with Barraging Scabskins. I take 1 down to 16, and then there's a world where Beast Within doesn't trigger me. I get to just go Claw, Claw, attack, think about Consumed on the next turn. Since that is a potential reality, we're going to do that. There is potential that that works out. Dope. Look at what we drew. Disgusting. Ghostly and Arsenals, whatever. But we got the 18 damage. Claw, Claw, Boneyard. Disgusting. Oh, honestly, I probably should have rolled scabs here. I've got the gamblers up. So if I hit there, I can just like pitch this ghostly into the ghostly. And that's lethal. But if it's the 1 into a 1, I just lose the game, you know? Jesus Christ. I don't think I'm just ever gonna roll scabs again in my life. I've been weaned off it. It's such bullshit. Scab skins just never treats me right. Never, ever. Never, ever. Yes, hi, Woody. Hi, buddy. No, hi. So they're at 1. We can come in for 8, but it's across breakpoints, so they kind of need to give the hand or die. So we don't really care about protecting the consume flip anymore. I won't miss, right? I won't miss, right? What? There would be justice in this world, though. Quite some justice if I do just whiff on the dread here. Yeah, that would be nice. It would be nice for my opponent. It won't happen, though. Right, if I block here, I take 3. I'm dead anyway. Doesn't matter. Let's get the full block in. Was the full hand not lethal? Keep the barraging. Yeah, actually, if they don't run sinks, in theory, it's lethal. Yes, in theory. We got there anyway. No sweat. Yeah, that's right. Barraging won't buff the ghostly, but it would still intim the card. Yes. And it would be post the banish. But the only difference there is one difference in graveyard fill for hopefully closing the game. Depends on the sink. Barraging into Dread is the same difference as filling the graveyard with the one barraging early, though. Same deal. Oh, yeah, no reason for that really to be the one we play out in that case. So if it was going to be a loss to the Banish in the graveyard, then it was all the same to either block with 1 or hold it. Alright, I believe. I believe. Yes. Fantastic. Oh, that's my opponent. So let's make sure we turn off our own. Oh, what does my opponent do? Ah, the defensive Art of War, the double non-block. Alright, we should be fine. Should be fine. Although this only attacks for 4, you know? This is only 4 at the end of the day. Alright, still not winning yet. Still not winning yet, but they're out of cards here. Looking good. We can't even win with Reckless. Alright. Alright, they're out of deck. So the only way we lose is not turning off Blood Debt. It's the only way we lose. The only guaranteed way of turning off Blood Debt is just swing with Blasmo. So we just do this. That game anyway. Oh! Reckless discarding Art of War. They did play 1, pitch 1. Yeah, so that's when they just pitched, so we don't know this card anyway. At least I wasn't paying attention. I'm way too sleepy. My cat purring on me is like absolutely tanking my mental. I'm now convinced I also want to lay on someone's lap and purr. Oh, look at this, baby. Reckless swing. I mean, we won anyway. We won anyway. But there it is. Alright, not a perfect game. Not a perfect game. But that early start with Slithering was dope. Slithering. how good you are with Artivore and how bad you are in most other scenarios. Oh, goody. This cat is too cute. He's too cute. Look at him. Oh, yo, yo. You liked that game, didn't you? You liked that game, Goody. Oh, yo, yo. Here, can you hear him? He's purring. You hear that? That's some ASMR. Oh man, I at least heard that on my end. He was rubbing his face into the mic. Okay. All right. Play with Bobu. All right, so they're not looking for me. Let's do one more. One more, and then I'm going to sign off for the day and be back tomorrow with Dromai coaching with Fino. All right, we did play against Akatsu before. I'm down to do it again. I want redemption. Don't hit me with that CNC. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, Woody, now you're like really on the mic. Slithering is your number one can't wait to cut card. You don't have an alternative yet, but you really dislike. Well, the alternative is just don't run it. That's it. Easy. Just don't run it. The deck was fine before. Like the power injection that Dusk gave us was not Slithering. Slithering is fine, but it was not. It was not Slithering alone. Like playing old Levia with the Demi Hero is totally fine. Like you don't need Slithering to juice up the power level to some kind of like new high. Slithering is just fine. With Artivore and a bunch of one costs, the ideal is it's a 2-card 12. But that's not even how I'm playing it in this list. That's how I was playing it in the 250 games list. The list I was grinding previous to this was really all in on Artivore Slithering being a 2-card 12 reset arsenal. That rate was stupid. So stupid. Because the moment you pitch blue, right? You banish Slithering, say go again, you draw another 1 cost, boom, Slithering for 1 floating, and then the 1 cost for the last floating, and then you have 12 damage off 2 cards. It's absolutely nutty. Absolutely nutty. What's our arsenal? Swing big. Okay, so we can reset with the Boneyard, and that will really be our turn more than anything. Whoa, that was it? That was it? Okay, that's fine. Swing big, Arsenal, Boneyard. We didn't really miss value anywhere. I guess, in theory, I could have rolled Scab Skins. Oh, hit a 6. Man, this turn was live. Claw, claw. Yeah, so if you look back, though, Zoe, at what Mark was playing, he was playing kind of the old version. Oops, that was totally not it. Mark was still pretty dug into the, like, heavy Savage Feast version, which I'm surprised because, honestly, like, Savage Feast just felt like ass most of the time. But the way he talks about it is that's his Artivore combo. He's committed to not really using this card with Scab Skins. It's just parked in Arsenal and waiting for Artivore. So that makes some sense, actually. Like, it's a 2-card combo in that way where you need to draw into, like, the blue and the Artivore starter. But then you're basically unlocking, like, another Blood Rush rather than using it on its own next to Scab Skins. It makes some sense there. Makes some sense. Because using it as a Scabs card was just awful. Like, it just felt like actual misery to use it as a Scabs card. Alright, this hand sucks. We want to sink into something nice. Endless Maw would be ideal, you know? Sinking into a Blood Rush wouldn't quite do it. Hey, Endless Maw. What'd I say? We got the Endless Maw. Alright. They can't pull a Dishonor, so it's just gonna be Descendant Bonds 100 wins. That's fine. That's pretty allowed, I think. Might try the increased visit count, but other than that, you love where you're at. Yeah, I really enjoyed Heavy Ghostly Visit, but... but boy, did it not work out on the day. In theory, if you just, like, start every game within, like, the first 2 turns even, with, like, a Ghostly, the game feels so easy. But what if you don't? But what if you don't? Alright, that was such a lucky sync. Endless Maw is fantastic. Because the 100 wins is going to have Go again on the Mass proc, We do want to block it, so if we're going to overblock, it might as well be 5 on the bonds, because blocking 5 on the 100 wins sucks. So we'll just do this now. Deny the mask. Return R9. That's it. Nice. There was a world where that was only 6. You're on the 8 Screamers just because Screamer 1 cost. Yeah, I mean, that's the same deal as the 250 games list. It's the whole idea. That curve is sweet. That curve is so good, and it's so good when you pivot into Deep Rooted Evil as well. It's just, you want every Screamer. It doesn't matter if it's yellow. It's crazy. Card's crazy. Alright, so this is actually nuts as well. The banishes didn't hit any blood debt, so we can fall back on Swing Big. Instead of like trying to force Dread Screamer Boneyard, because that would put us at insanely low graveyard. That would be blocking with these two. Playing out Dread, closing Chain, playing Boneyard, that's leaving it at 1 in grave. With a guaranteed 3 blood debt. So we can scale back the hand and just make it the Swing Big turn. Seems pretty decent. Seems pretty decent. The other way to do it is just use Scowling to let it be the Dread Boneyard. None of these in Arsenal would feel great, though. So it would still be leaving the graveyard at like 1 or 2 by committing Scowling. I don't mind committing Scowling anyway. We can just kind of see what this does to the turn. I'm in. Oh! That's fine. I mean, isn't that better value for Scowling then? I just got the Scowling on an Art of War turn. Dope. So unless that's bonds, then this actually worked out, right? Unless that is bonds. Honestly, oh my god. What's going on? Oh, I really wanted one more attack, not a razor. Interesting. Interesting. Well, you know what this does now, and I really don't want to do it, but now it really wants me to roll scabs here. Because if I can go Boneyard Swing Big, Arsenal Screamer, whew. Oh, that's juicy. I can still do the Dread into Boneyard turn and Arsenal the Swing Big. No problem with that. I would be at 1 card in graveyard. Swing Big in Arsenal, not that strong, with blood debt ticking up. But actually, as the pivot turn to flipping, it is worth it. Okay, that's fair. As the pivot turn, because we might flip into consume next turn anyway, this is better. Actually, this is great, because I'm guaranteed really good hits. These are all reds. The Red Endless, Red Writhing, the Red Screamer, those are guaranteed to be in Banish, going into Swing Big and Arsenal. Alright, never mind. I take it all back. This is great. I love it. I love it. Would you run Sigils for a little more play with Plasmo? I like them in Blitz. In Blitz, Sigil can feel like, honestly, the only way for you to get any use out of Consumed. Because otherwise, like, you just hit 13 so fast. Oh, yikes. Alright, yeah, this hand really wants to flip. This hand wants to just be Swing Big, Arsenal, Slithering. But, you know, I'll happily pitch Ghostly for a weird Blood Rush play. I'll do it. It's only 3 blood debt. I'm in. That was it? No way, dude. Sure. Alright, we got Claw, Swing Big. Only taking 3 blood debt? Disgusting. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. There we go, Levia. It's kind of an awkward game, but you make good choices. We're getting there. I hate arsenaling Slithering though. Like, the best use case is Art of War. If it's in Arsenal, you just don't get to do it. Once you put it in Arsenal, you're just hoping like it's Dread. That's like the only time it feels okay. It's fine. You know, it's not the worst, but it's the same deal as like putting it's the same deal as putting like Gravelings in your arsenal. It can brick you. It can indeed brick you. Most damage guaranteed on this hand is just to go Dread into Slithering. That's 10. That is 10. I could also just block this out, return Endless for 9. Keeps the Slithering there. That seems fine as well. I think we'll just do that. You do not understand the opponent's thought process on the turn. Me neither, Emery, but that's okay. I'm also not thinking very clearly. I think my allergies kicked up like crazy after mowing the lawn. I'm like so thick and drippy right now. Thick and drippy. Alright, we can block now with the Ghostly. Ha ha ha. What have you done, opponent? What have you done? You've unlocked my final form. Yes. Yes, another Blood Rush. Another one. Yep, so we can Claw into Slithering, and ideally you tend to deal, even with full blocks, 6 damage on a Blood Rush turn, so that would likely win the game, and we get to flip on it in case we don't. Seems pretty good. Seems they do have mass, though, so depending on like 2 blocks, maybe they live. No, they don't live. They don't live. We got there. Alright, that was kind of a roll. That was kind of a roll. That puts us at 3-1. Pretty obvious, though, that you need Blood Rush or you can't play most games. That's still the damn problem with Levia. Still the damn problem. But if you're fine with that, then she's pretty cool, regardless. Like I said, though, for consistency reasons, we're going to move off her, I think. Taking a little break. Taking a little break. If you start feeling worse, you'd go to the doctor. You start feeling allergies or something Sunday in Vegas, and today it says positive for the flu? Oh, what the hell, Robin? Not like that. I don't feel flu level, but I am in that, like, give me soup mindset. Oh my god, okay, cat, please. Alright, we're gonna sign off here with the cat eating my headset. Look at him. Or headphones, rather. Look what he's doing. Look at him, little cutie pie. Okay, that's gonna be it for today. I'll be back on tomorrow with the Dromai coaching from Pheno Black himself. Yeah, it'll be fun. That'll be it, though, because I'm driving to SEG Columbus on Friday, so I can go set up and record it. So no SEGCon stream this weekend, like I said, because there are so many nationals going on. I don't want to take any of their gusto away. Don't want to compete for viewers. I'd rather everyone celebrate the more unique events going on this weekend. Nationals. Battle Hardened, just a Battle Hardened, there's tons of them. So I'm going to record it. You can look for those vids coming out through the next week. But yeah, don't expect a stream for Columbus. I'll see you back tomorrow, though. It'll be fun. Goodbye. Goodbye, says Woody. Goodbye. Oh, so cute. So cute. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Woo! Step, arms, spin. What? Woo! And slide and tango. 1, 2, 1, 2. Slide.